I don't want to be your brother anymore. Lu Shao lifted me and set me on his lap, tilting his head up slightly to gaze at me. Under the hazy glow of the wall lamp, I saw his prominent, exquisitely full Adam's apple and the sharp, clean lines of his neck. I raised my hand and touched his stubble. Speak plainly. Shuangman, I want to be your man. The air was thick with the heavy smell of alcohol. The drunk Lu Shao seemed even more gentle and refined than usual. My heart trembled violently amidst the strong scent of wine. Was this something Lu Shao could say? All right. I leaned down and blew a breath towards his Adam's apple, pretending to be experienced. Lu Shao's thick, long eyelashes fluttered heavily. Shuangman, you seem quite experienced. I pinched and rolled his earlobe between my thumb and index finger, playing with it. Yes, Xu Ming Shao taught me. Almost instantly, Lu Shao's face darkened severely. The hand that had been gently caressing my back suddenly turned into a forceful grip. Shuangman. His thin lips parted, his gaze icy cold to the extreme. I've really spoiled you, haven't I? I moved away from him. Yes, so now you reap what you sow. Asterisk. Lu Shao is my brother, but we share neither father nor mother. He's a full 10 years older than me, yet our birthdays happen to fall on the same day. I first met Lu Shao in the autumn of 2013, my freshman year of university. I still remember it clearly. It was dusk, the sky orange as if colored by a marker. I pushed open the wooden gate of the courtyard, and a young, handsome man was bending over, watering the plants in the raised flower beds. The last rays of the setting sun fell on him, adding a golden filter, making him look so beautiful he seemed to have stepped out of a manga. Later, I often wondered if Lu Shao hadn't turned and smiled at me that day, if he hadn't called me little girl in that soft tone, would we have had so many entanglements later? Would we be so at odds now, like fire and water? The man put down the watering can, walked up to me, his light, misty eyes holding a trace of a smile. Shuangman? I didn't speak. Back then, because I hated my father, I was wary of everyone and everything connected to him. The man reached out and ruffled my hair. You look a lot like Uncle He. I shook off his hand forcefully. I'm not like him. The man was stunned for a moment, then reached out to take my backpack, his tone warm and mellow. Okay, not like him, not like him. Come in, there are lots of mosquitoes outside. Lu Shao's home was like him, simple and clean. Even a pencil holder was placed neatly. Hello, little girl, I'm Lu Shao. He handed me a glass of water. I know. He raised an eyebrow and smiled lightly. Did Uncle He mention me? I answered evasively. My name isn't little girl. He looked torn between laughter and tears and started again. Well then, hello, Xiao Man. I'm Lu Shao. The second time I saw Lu Shao was at my house. He appeared in the role of my brother. My father, acting as if nothing was wrong, put food in my bowl and said, Xiao Man, from now on, Lu Shao is your brother. He's a third-year advanced mathematics teacher at T University. How great is that? It's right next to your school. If you have any problems with your studies in the future, you can ask him for advice. I looked at Lu Shao. He was looking right back at me. The 29-year-old Lu Shao had smiling eyes, clean and handsome, bright like the March sunshine, making it impossible for me to hate him, even if I wanted to. My father added, Xiao Man, your Aunt Chin Lu will be living with us from now on. Dad hopes you two get along well. Xiao Man seems like a girl with a good personality. Yuan King, don't worry, I'm confident we'll get along well, said the woman named Chin Lu, sitting across from me, next to my father. Hearing that last sentence, I sneered inwardly, but my face remained impassive. Lu Shao didn't live with us. He had his own place outside, a slightly classical-style quadrangle courtyard in the suburbs not far from T University. Chin Lu moved in to live with us. She was 4 years older than my father, but because she took good care of herself, she looked little different from a woman in her early 30s. She didn't look like Lu Shao's mother at all. She seemed more like his older sister. Perhaps precisely because Chin Lu was too beautiful, my grandmother once believed my father was bewitched by her looks. I hated Chin Lu, so I secretly opposed her at every turn. For example, I bluntly criticized her cooking as unpalatable, put cockroaches in her toothbrush cup, added water to her expensive cosmetics. I always thought I was hiding it well. I never expected Qin Lu had seen through my clumsy acting long ago. She just couldn't be bothered to argue with me. Xiao Man, no matter what you do, I won't blame you, because I love your father. She stood on the spiral staircase, wearing a well-tailored, modernized cheongsam. Her figure graceful, her gaze soft. I couldn't help but think. That's right. Lu Shao is just like her, humble in demeanor, always calm and rational. Every time Lu Shao came to our house, he brought me gifts. My bedroom was originally empty except for necessary furnishings, but later, nearly half the space was used to store those plush toys and dolls. I was already a college freshman, already 19. I didn't like those things at all, but Lu Shao would smile and ruffle the top of my head. Still just a child. I loved it when Lu Shao did that to me. And I loved it when he called me little girl. Lu Shao was usually quite busy with work. Occasionally, when I called him late at night to ask about problems I didn't understand, he was still preparing lessons or writing teaching plans. I knew where Lu Shao's house was. Sometimes I would take my homework directly to him. In the same study, he would do his work and I would do mine. When he finished, he would explain the parts I didn't understand. Often, by the time all this was done, it was quite late. Lu Shao would drive me home. The journey from his place to mine took about 10 minutes. It was a night with a bright, clear moon. Lu Shao was seeing me home as usual. On the way, after thinking it over for a long time, I called out, Lu Shao. Lu Shao glanced at me slightly. What's up? What kind of girls do you like? Lu Shao tilted his head slightly. That's hard to say. Do you have a girlfriend right now? A speed bump appeared ahead. Lu Shao slowed down. No. Lu Shao. I like you. I saw Lu Shao's figure stiffen slightly. His distinct knuckles on the steering wheel froze for an instant. Xiao Man, focus on your studies. Don't make Uncle he worry about you. I sneered. I don't care if he worries about me. Lu Shao turned to look at me. Back then, I was young and naive. I didn't understand the emotion in his eyes, thinking wholeheartedly that he was pitying me, mocking me. It was only many years later, when I thought back, that I realized it was a look of heartache. But by then, it seemed everything was a little too late. I started pestering Lu Shao. Whenever he was home, I would bring a backpack full of exercises to his place. After he finished explaining them to me, I would say I was hungry, and then he would cook for me. Lu Shao's cooking was excellent. Even a seemingly ordinary plate of greens, I would finish clean. Sometimes I deliberately pretended not to understand Lu Shao's explanations. He would call me stupid, but helplessly explain it to me again and again in different ways until I understood. There was a shop on Southeast Street that sold yogurt cakes and had great business. Once, Lu Shao went there on business and brought back a box for me. Seeing that I liked them, every time he drove me home, he would deliberately take the long way past that street, stop by the shop, and buy some for me. No one had ever been so good to me like Lu Shao, not even my parents or grandparents. All my impressions of my mother were grey. When I was little, she would only yell at me, hit me with her high heels. She even said to me, "Why don't you just die?" Many of my classmates told me, "Shuangman, I envy you so much. Your mother is so beautiful, your house is so big and luxurious." But they didn't know. I was the one who truly envied them. I wanted someone to eat with me, even if it was just a bowl of plain congee. I wanted someone to talk with me, even if it was just about some unknown little flower we saw by the roadside. I was lonely, truly lonely. Until I met Lu Shao. He actually remembered what I liked to eat, patiently listened to me talk about trivial things from school, and over again, soothed my fierce moods. Lu Shao was special. So special that I began to get lost in my own plan. Unconsciously, I gradually forgot my original purpose for getting close to him. Xiao Man, are you busy with studies lately? If you're short on energy, you could apply to stay in the school dormitory. It would be more convenient. Lu Shao was preparing lessons on his computer, as if he'd just mentioned it casually. I looked at him coldly. It's you who's short on energy, right? You don't want to tutor me anymore, do you? You might as well say it directly. Is there any need to beat around the bush? Lu Shao looked at me, his beautiful eyes swirling with indecipherable emotions. After a long while, he reached out and ruffled the top of my head, saying, Xiao Man, that's not what I meant. I just hope you have more time for studying. I had said before that I loved it when Lu Shao did this. As long as he ruffled my hair, I felt the little demon inside me was pacified. But this time, it didn't work. Because when he said the word brother, I understood why. He was avoiding me. That's why he emphasized our relationship siblings. I don't want a brother. I don't need a brother. After saying that, I grabbed my backpack and ran out the door. I knew Lu Shao would come looking for me. So I didn't take the usual road but a shortcut. The dilapidated, winding alley was dirty and smelly. I trembled as I walked. I had been afraid of the dark since childhood, and always needed a nightlight to sleep. But the thing I feared most still happened. 2 drunkards hooked my backpack strap as I passed them. I screamed, pushing and hitting them, while shouting Lu Shao's name. I grabbed a badminton racket from a trash can and hit one of the drunkards hard on the head. Probably hurt, they seemed to get really angry and started tearing at my clothes. I had heard from classmates before that this alley was unsafe, especially at night, gathering all sorts of shady characters. So I had never come here before. I never expected to run into trouble this time. Just as one of the drunkards slapped me, making my head spin and ears ring, Lu Shao appeared. In my blurry vision, I saw his chest heaving violently from running hard, saw the anxious, uneasy expression on his face. Lu Shao fought with remarkable efficiency. In a few moves, he subdued the other party. He took off his coat and wrapped it around me. Don't be afraid. He held me close and led me out of the alley. Lu Shao didn't take me straight home. He first took me to a pharmacy to buy an ice pack. Under the dim light in the car, he personally applied it to my face. Xiao Man, this world isn't all bright places. There are many dark places too. You need to know how to protect yourself. I looked into Lu Shao's eyes and didn't say a word. Lu Shao added, Xiao Man, the reverse is also true. The reverse? This world isn't all dark places. There are many bright places too. He had seen the darkness within my heart. He understood the darkness within my heart. I said, Lu Shao, can you wait for me to grow up? Lu Shao paused, then showed a faint smile. In brother's eyes, Xiao Man will always be a child. He was pushing me away. I understood. Or perhaps it wasn't pushing away. Just that he wanted to maintain a normal relationship with me, like siblings or family. I ignored this and still often pestered him, asking him to tell me about his past school days, about things that happened at his university. The summer I was promoted to sophomore year, Lu Shao started dating. That day I went to his place with my exercises as usual. As soon as I pushed the door open, I saw 2 figures snuggled together on the balcony. I slammed the door shut loudly. I knew Lu Shao wouldn't come after me this time, so I walked slowly home, treading on the last of the sunset glow. For a long time after that, I hardly saw Lu Shao. Before, on average, he would come to our house for dinner once a week. Later, he stopped coming altogether. I really wanted to go find him, but every time the thought gathered in my mind, I would remember the scene of him being intimate with another woman that day. I was very unhappy, but I had no reason or right to stop it. After the start of my sophomore year, I really did apply to live in the dormitory. Not for any other reason, just that I didn't want to go home and see Chin Lu and my father. They seemed very happy. Sometimes they watched movies together in the 4th floor screening room, their joyful laughter reaching all the way to my bedroom on the 2nd floor. I found it disgusting, truly disgusting. I just wanted to get far away from them. I went from going home once a week at first to later going home only once a month. Lu Shao would often come to see me at school. Even in casual clothes, he could attract a crowd of girls. Wow, Shuangman, is that your brother? He's so handsome. Shuangman, you and your brother don't look much alike. Are you full siblings? Shuangman, do you need a sister-in-law? Damn, he's better looking than a celebrity. I really want to marry him. Usually, people who never had much contact with me, or more precisely, whom I was unwilling to have much contact with, eventually all thought I was a weirdo. But upon finding out I had a brother like Lu Shao, they all enthusiastically came to call me sis or friend, chatting and gossiping. I found it rather noisy. I still preferred being alone. Every time Lu Shao came, he brought me those yogurt cakes, sometimes along with other things like a book or a pen. When I had no classes, he would take me out for meals, to the amusement park. He did many things with me, did many things for me. Accompanied me, accommodated me, tolerated me, took care of me. He told me, Xiao Man, even on cloudy days the sun still rises as usual. It's just that the clouds are too thick, blocking its light. We should be like that sun too. No matter wind or rain, we must live well. I heard these words, but I didn't follow them. It seemed to be during a self-study class when the homeroom teacher suddenly found me and said, Shuangman, something happened at your home. Go back quickly. There's a car waiting for you outside the school. At first, I was puzzled. What could happen at my home? Had my father's safe been broken into? It wasn't until I was taken outside the ICU that I found out it was my father who had had an accident. He had a sudden cerebral hemorrhage while working. The situation was critical, and there happened to be no one outside the office at the time. So he missed the golden rescue window. Now, the doctors had already issued several critical condition notices. When Lu Shao arrived, I was sitting on the floor, staring blankly at the light above the operating room. What are you doing sitting on the floor? Get up. He reached out and pulled me up. I felt dizzy and asked him softly, Lu Shao, is my dad going to die? Lu Shao's eyes were also slightly red. He pulled me into his arms, continuously stroking my back up and down, saying, No, Xiao Man. He'll be fine. Don't be afraid. Lu Shao didn't lie to me. My father didn't die, but he became a vegetable. Due to the delayed rescue, his brain tissue was severely damaged. Vegetative state, 3 words I had only ever encountered in books or TV dramas. How strange, how cold. Chin Lu stayed by my father's bedside without leaving, reading to him, telling him stories, handling his bathroom needs, wiping his body. She, usually so glamorous, suddenly seemed to have aged considerably. I didn't dare enter the hospital room to see my father, only peeking secretly through the window from outside. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to hold back my tears. I hated him, but I had also loved him once. A warm hand touched the top of my head. I turned and saw Lu Shao, silent. Let's go home. He took my hand. His palm was so warm. How I wished I could be led and enveloped by it forever. But I shook it off harshly. I ran out of the hospital crying, Go home. There is no home. I truly have no home now. Actually, when my mother was driven to her death by my father and Chin Lu, I already felt I had no home. But later, I realized that luxurious house was still there. The man I had called father for over 10 years was still there. So, that place was still my home, more or less. But now, my father was a living corpse. My grandmother was bedridden due to distress and anger. I suddenly became sure. Now I truly have no home. It was already late autumn, but the weather was as changeable as summer. Torrential rain poured down. I stood dazed in the middle of the street, watching the people rushing around to avoid the rain. I once read a line in a book, Though people come and go around me, why do I still feel so lonely and desolate? It turns out my heart is too empty. Lu Shao caught up. Without a word, he took my hand and started walking. I bit down hard on his wrist, very deep. The taste of blood entered my nostrils. Lu Shao, who do you think you are? Some savior? I'm telling you, you don't need to bother with my affairs. Don't pity me. You didn't really think I liked you, did you? That was just a trap. Your mother indirectly caused my mother's death. I swore I would disrupt your lives. So I got close to you, provoked you. But you, damn it, didn't take the bait. Before I first met Lu Shao, I had already looked into his and Chin Lu's backgrounds. I knew he was a teacher. To destroy him, all it took was a moral misstep. I deliberately told my father I needed tutoring, that he must find me the best tutor in T-City. Lu Shao was the ready-made, most suitable candidate, and also the son of that vixen Chin Lu. I knew my father would definitely ask him. Actually, I knew how to solve all those problems, but I had to pretend I didn't, because only then could I spend more time with Lu Shao, make him like me. Incest, those 2 words were enough to ruin him. I didn't dare commit murder or arson. I had no way to deal with Chin Lu directly, but I had a way to deal with someone she cared about. The rain poured down. Lu Shao and I stood in the middle of the road, looking at each other. No one spoke, no one moved. Through the heavy curtain of rain, I saw the dense, unresolved sorrow in Lu Shao's eyes. This time, he didn't reach out and ruffle my hair like he usually did, suppressing the roaring demon inside me. This time, he got angry at me. But who is Lu Shao? He is a steady, reserved man. Even his anger was extremely gentle. He said, "So Xiaoman, you demean yourself like this. You've not only demeaned yourself, but also demeaned my mother's feelings for Uncle He." After saying that, he turned and left. His tall, straight figure looked somewhat disheveled under the constantly flickering neon lights. I finally sat down on the ground and cried bitterly, as if wanting to expel all the sorrow of the past nearly 20 years through my tears. My parents had always had a bad relationship. From my earliest memories, they were always arguing, even fighting. When I was 14, I witnessed my father pressing my mother's head against the floor. Later, my father had an affair with Chin Lu behind my mother's back. My mother couldn't take it and slit her wrists in the bathtub. The bathtub was full of her blood that day, mixed with water overflowing, filling the entire bathroom. Yes, getting close to Lu Shao was a trap I set. But I never considered whether I had the ability to capture him. In the end, I failed to capture him. But I imprisoned myself. All these entanglements, in the end, were me reaping what I sowed. Overnight, our family went bankrupt. The original villa was repossessed, and Chin Lu rented a 3-bedroom apartment outside. Although not as luxurious as before, it was still spacious. She had packed my things and moved them into the new rental before my vacation. My bedroom's layout was similar to the original, and most importantly, all the plush toys and dolls Lu Shao had bought me were still there. Not a single one missing. Chin Lu went to the hospital to care for my father on time every day. No matter how busy she was, she would always dress elegantly before going out, paying attention to details like earrings and nails. One day I sneaked into her bedroom and read her diary, accidentally discovering an astonishing secret. Back then, Chin Lu and my father were deeply in love. One was a talented girl admired by many, the other a young man full of ambition, but with no way to realize it. They had a beautiful meeting and a sweet romance. My mother, a then somewhat known minor singer with a domineering style, abruptly inserted herself between my father and Chin Lu. My mother tempted him to break up with Chin Lu by offering to invest and help him start a company. My father couldn't withstand this test. Later, my father and mother got married, and Chin Lu went abroad. I kept reading. I never thought I would see him again. The man who broke our vows back then. The man who influenced half my life. He is still the same as before. Gentle, elegant, and charming. The moment I looked into his eyes, I could actually remember the stars he watched with me so many years ago. That night, on the rooftop under the vast starry sky, he had kissed me gently. Byron has a line, "If I should see thee, after long years, how should I greet thee?" With silence and tears. I think this can best describe the situation between Yuanqing and me. Next, Chin Lu wrote about 2 other chance encounters with my father after their initial reunion. The first time, Chin Lu reasonably kept a safe distance from my father. Her upbringing and character wouldn't allow her to be a homewrecker. The second time, my father was drunk. Like a child, he admitted his mistake and apologized to her, saying he was young and immature just after graduating university back then. His heart set on grand achievements and a bright future. Now, after most of his life had passed, he finally understood his feelings for her. In the blink of an eye, 27 years have passed like this. Did heaven let me see He Yuanqing again as a gift or a joke? The first half of my life was busy and aimless. How I wished to live for myself in the second half. To forgive his immaturity back then. To forgive my own heart, trapped for so many years, long withered. I thought by this point, Chin Lu must have already gotten involved with my father. But the content that followed shocked me profoundly. He Yuanqing sent me a message asking me out to eat. I thought for a long time and refused him. I think living for oneself cannot be an excuse for violating moral principles. Being true to oneself is truly living for oneself. But I never expected Yujin would commit suicide. Her death feels like a knife held to my neck. I feel like I'm suffocating. It wasn't until He Yuanqing told me Yujin had severe depression that I felt I could breathe again. Actually, I never hated Yujin back in the day. She merely presented a test for mine, and He Yuanqing's feelings back then. It was us who failed. Yujin was my mother's name. This was the second to last entry. There was one final one. Finally, we are together. The moon, even if broken in the water, is still the moon after all. The dreams of my teens, even after so many years, I still want to fulfill them. And marrying Hyuanking was my biggest wish back then. The story stopped abruptly, like a low, sad piece of music suddenly cut off, leaving only the listener bewildered. If the content of Qin Lu's diary was true, then my mother's death had nothing to do with her, and my previous actions towards her, even towards Lu Shao. After final exams, I received a call from Grandpa Chang, our neighbor at my grandmother's place in the countryside. Grandpa Chang said my grandmother had suddenly passed away from illness. I hurriedly asked for leave, went home to pack a couple of clothes. When I went out, I saw Lu Shao's car parked outside. I suddenly couldn't move my feet. From a distance, through the car window, I saw Lu Shao's slightly furrowed brow as he looked at me. My so-called revenge had already ended after my father was declared vegetative, and after I peeked at Qin Lu's diary. My current awkwardness was because I clearly had feelings for Lu Shao, and he had a girlfriend. Lu Shao rolled down the window. Xiao Man, stop making a scene. Come here, get in the car. I ultimately obediently got into the car. The car was softly playing Mardi's Diane, the Wild Goose. I hummed along to the melody in my heart while secretly glancing at Lu Shao from the side. From my angle, I could just see his handsome nose bridge and the delicate curve of his lips. Lu Shao was a very good-looking man. Qin Lu was also a very good-looking woman. They looked very much alike. I thought Lu Shao was just taking me to the bus station, but he actually went back with me. After 5 hours of driving, we arrived at 2 p.m. Almost all the funeral arrangements, big and small, were handled personally by Lu Shao. He contributed money and effort, patiently and gently receiving and comforting our various distant relatives. By the time everything was done, it was already dark. Lu Shao sat under the osmanthus tree in the yard, attending a remote training organized by his school superiors. I sat by the old redwood threshold, roasting sweet potatoes. Xiao Man, come here. Lu Shao suddenly waved at me. I walked over and sat on the stool beside him. I thought he was going to show me some study materials or something, but he very naturally reached out and wiped my mouth. Using his thumb, he gently wiped from the corner of my mouth backwards. The little girl who eats roasted sweet potatoes and gets black marks, he said with a laugh, a hint of indulgence in his voice. I pretended to be calm and asked him, Lu Shao, how are you and her? Lu Shao was stunned for a moment, then quickly realized who the her in my words referred to. Broke up. I was a little surprised. Why? Lu Shao looked at me for a moment, then closed his laptop. Not compatible. Lu Shao, I called him. A soft evening breeze blew by, causing a few petals to fall from the gardenias at the foot of the wall in the yard. Lu Shao, what kind of girls do you like? This was the second time I had asked him this question. Last time, his answer was evasive. Lu Shao tapped the back of his laptop lightly with his index finger, pondered for a moment and replied, haven't really thought about that question for now. The glow of the setting sun fell on his sharply handsome, elegant face, adding a beautiful filter to him, just like the evening a year ago when I first met him. In the middle of the night, it suddenly started pouring rain, with thunder and lightning. I curled up on the bed I used to share with my grandmother as a child, unable to sleep. A knock sounded on the door. Lu Shao's warm, low, slightly hoarse voice sounded especially gentle under the sound of the rain. Xiao Man, are you asleep? I got up and out of bed, opened the door, and saw Lu Shao, holding a flashlight standing at the doorway. He handed me the flashlight. The power's out. Put this on your bedside table. I realized belatedly that he was worried I might be scared, though I actually hadn't even known about the power outage. I'm afraid of the dark, but in this room I wasn't. I took the flashlight. Thank you. Lu Shao reached out and ruffled my hair. You're welcome. Go back to sleep. If you're scared, call me. When I woke up the next day, I saw Lu Shao asleep, slumped by my bedside. The faint morning sunlight streamed through the rotten wooden window, falling on his face, dyeing his eyebrows, eyelashes, nose, and lips a light golden yellow. From his even, shallow breathing, I could tell he was sleeping deeply. So I leaned over and placed a light kiss on his forehead. Lu Shao didn't like me. I knew that. He had rejected me long ago. But I liked Lu Shao. If this liking couldn't be accepted by him, then it would just be my own secret. I never formally went to see my father. If it was hatred before, later it became guilt. Although he never acted like my hero, shielding me from wind and rain as shown in TV dramas, and had always been lukewarm towards me since childhood, he ultimately shared the same blood as me. After being depressed at home for a few days, I abruptly got up and started primping myself. First, I went to the hair salon for a new hairstyle, then came home and applied appropriate makeup, paired with a slightly mature little black dress, and finally went to Lu Shao's place to find him. On a sunny morning, I pushed open the wooden gate of the courtyard and saw Lu Shao bending over, tending to the flowers and plants in the yard. At that moment, time seemed to rewind crazily. Standing there, I vaguely remembered the first time I saw him about a year ago. It was a similar scene. The setting sun, the deep courtyard, the clean, warm man. There's a line in the marriage certificate Hu Lancheng once wrote for Zhang Ailing, "May the years be quiet and the world stable." So I thought and yearned with all my heart. I told myself, I must make this sentence describe the relationship between me and Lu Shao. Lu Shao turned and saw me. His eyes clearly flickered, even if just for a moment, which I keenly caught. He was wearing a set of white home clothes. His black hair looked freshly washed, fluffy and clean, his bangs lying softly on his forehead. A gust of wind passed, and I seemed to smell the faint scent of mint on him. He waved at me. "Come in, Xiao Man." I walked over and stopped in front of him. Lu Shao was very tall. I only reached his shoulders. Talking to him required me to tilt my head back with effort. "Did you write your social practice report?" His expression was serious. I hadn't even done the practice, so how could there be a report? But I didn't plan to tell the truth. Lu Shao was Lu Shao. He would definitely scold and lecture me. I said, "I finished it long ago." "Really? Bring it here, let me see." "No need, I don't want to trouble you," Lu Shao insisted. "Let me check if there are any problems." "Really, it's not necessary. I really wrote it. I'm not lying." Lu Shao frowned suspiciously. "Shuangman, when did you learn to lie?" "See, there he goes again, all serious." I gave in. "All right, I didn't write it. There's still over a month before school starts, there's time." Lu Shao's expression softened. He reached out and ruffled my hair. "Be good." I moved closer to him. "Then since I'm being so good, is there a reward?" Lu Shao looked at me, smiling. "What reward do you want?" "You." Lu Shao froze, his dark, deep eyes staring motionlessly at me. I threw myself into his arms, hugged him, and said, "Lu Shao, I like you. I don't want you to be my brother. I like you. I want to be with you." I clearly felt the tall, sturdy body in my arms tremble violently, along with my heart. But Lu Shao forcefully pried my hands open. "Xiao Man, stop messing around." Regardless, I threw myself back into his arms and hugged him again. "I'm not messing around. Can you please stop treating me like a child all the time? I'm an adult. I'm free. I have the right to make my own choices. I like you, Lu Shao. I just like you." Lu Shao once again forcefully pried my hands open, his voice finally tinged with a trace of anger. "Shuangman, just how long do you want to keep playing this game?" I was stunned, rooted to the spot. He actually thought I was still trying to get back at him. This time I didn't hug him again, but instead grabbed the corner of his clothes. I said, "No, Lu Shao, I'm not playing a game. I really like you." I tried my best to let my voice show just the right amount of tremor, hoping it might soften Lu Shao's heart. He usually indulged me in everything. Sure enough, I guessed right again. Lu Shao's heart softened. He said, "Xiao Man, you're still young now. You have plenty of good times ahead. Your future is bright." I stared at him stubbornly. "I know, but that doesn't conflict with liking you. But I am your brother, and you should focus on your studies." "What brother? We're not related by blood." "And Teacher Lu, it's already the 21st century. That line applies to middle and high school students, not university students." Lu Shao suddenly laughed, a somewhat helpless laugh. "Shuangman, Where did you learn all these sophistries? It's the truth. So Lu Shao, do you like me or not? Xiao Man. Don't call me Xiao Man. My name is Shuangman. Shuangman. Do you like me or not? Play by yourself for a while. I'm going to cook. After eating, I'll take you back. On the day I actually finished the practice report, I called Lu Shao and said I wanted to treat him to a meal as a thank you for supervising me to complete the task. Lu Shao agreed, saying I was treating him was actually an excuse for me to get drunk and act out. I got myself completely wasted, then pestered Lu Shao to take me home. To his home. To that lovely, warm little quadrangle courtyard. I had had my eye on that house for a long time. A very long time. Roughly, about a year. But Lu Shao drove the car to the building where Qin Lu rented. Why don't you like me? I hate you. After shouting this, I opened the car door and ran out. I didn't go home. I didn't want to go home. That home was cold and icy. Not only was I afraid of the dark, I was also afraid of loneliness, afraid of solitude. Dazed and confused, I curled up in the bridge arch above the Wangxing building, looking down at the endless stream of people below. Most of their faces wore numb expressions. Their souls had long been worn dull by life. I didn't want to become such a person. I didn't want to live forever in the dark underground. I longed for warmth, for light, and Lu Shao was that beam of light. It's just that at that time I didn't yet know that his light was too dazzling, bringing warmth, but also the potential for burns. I didn't know if Lu Shao came out to look for me. I fell asleep under the city's constantly flickering neon lights. The dream was desolate and bleak, just like the ones I had after my mother's death, all sorts of messy content that would eventually turn into a shocking scene. A young, beautiful woman lying in a bathtub full of blood. Her face pale. A bewitching, resolute smile on her lips. I didn't know why I always dreamed of her. It was as if she were a worm lurking inside my body, surviving by sucking my essence, biting me from time to time, making me hurt so much I couldn't breathe. Those scenes. Her pulling my hair hard, pinching my arm hard, hitting me with her high heels. I was in so much pain I felt like dying, but I only dared to hide in the wardrobe and cry secretly, not daring to tell anyone, including Dad. He was busy with company affairs every day. How would he have time to care about me? I woke up in Lu Shao's house. He was sitting by the bed looking at me, with faint dark circles under his eyes. In that instant, tears quickly filled my eyes. I sat up abruptly and hugged him. Lu Shao, I'm sorry. Lu Shao hugged me back, his broad, warm palm gently patting my back, his voice revealing a trace of fatigue. Don't be so willful anymore from now on. Don't make me worry so much anymore. I nodded, my tears soaking his clothes. He kept gently patting my back, over and over. Not long after the start of the second semester of my sophomore year, Lu Shao took me to visit his school for the first time. Only then did I realize how popular he was there. Girls would blush crimson upon seeing him, vying with each other greeting him, even proactively buying water for him. I really wanted to pull Lu Shao away quickly. But then I remembered he was a teacher, and doing so might have a negative impact on him. I had promised him not to be so willful anymore. After walking around, Lu Shao took me to eat water 3 delicacies at the famous food street outside their school. As I ate heartily, I asked him, "It's delicious, Lu Shao. Can you make it?" Lu Shao raised an eyebrow. "Of course. I'll make it for you another day." I had dinner at home that night. Qin Lu prepared a table full of sumptuous dishes. As she put food in my bowl, she said, "Xiao Man, you must be busy this semester, right? You're not staying in the dorm, and coming back here every day isn't very close either. How about you just move in directly with your brother? That way Auntie can feel at ease." I was quite pleased with the latter part of Qin Lu's suggestion, but Lu Shao looked troubled. "Forget it. No, thank you." After saying this, I put down my chopsticks and left. I met Xu Mingxiao on a night. I skipped class to go internet surfing. I had just jumped down from the wall when a dark figure also landed beside me, scaring me so much my legs went weak and I almost fell. The boy quickly reached out to steady me. Whoa, is my charm already this potent? I collected myself, not planning to pay him any mind. I rolled my eyes and started to walk away. The boy caught up. "Which internet cafe are you going to?" Xinyuan? What's it to you? Of course it matters. I'm going to Xinyuan too. We're going the same way. The boy smiled brightly. Seeing I wasn't talking, the boy quickened his pace, ran in front of me, and stretched out his hand towards me. Hello, he Shuangman. I'm Xiao. Oh, I forgot to ask how he knew my name. My mind solely occupied with why Lu Shao hadn't replied to my message just now. The boy looked dumbfounded. So cold in the face of a handsome guy. That's just not scientific ... double quotes. Just as we reached the entrance of the internet cafe, I saw Lu Shao. He was sitting by the window in a British-style coffee shop, across from a girl with delicate features. The girl was happily talking about something, while Lu Shao listened quietly, a smile covering his handsome, gentle face. No wonder he didn't want me to move in. So he had a new girlfriend. I just stood at the internet cafe entrance watching them. Xiao also stood beside me watching them. I glared at Xiao. What are you doing? He whistled and retorted. What are you doing? Psycho. After cursing him, I turned and entered the internet cafe. I treated the enemies on the opposite team as the girl across from Lu Shao, chasing them halfway across the map like crazy, finally chopping them down with one slash. Xiao lost though. Clenching a cigarette, he loudly cursed the ancestors 18 generations of the teammate who had gone AFK halfway through. I patted his shoulder. Calm down. Give me a cigarette. He threw the cigarette pack and lighted to me. I imitated his way, putting the cigarette in my mouth, lighting it. On the first puff, because I used too much force, I choked and coughed violently, almost passing out. That's not how you smoke. Use your nose first, then your mouth, take a small puff, then open your mouth, take a deep breath, draw the smoke into your lungs, then slowly exhale. Feels good. Xiao taught me. That night, I learned how to smoke. On the afternoon, Xiao called me to the basketball court to confess his feelings. I received a call from Lu. She said my father was not going to make it. It felt like a bolt from the blue. I threw away the roses Xiao had forced into my arms and ran with large strides towards the school gate. Just outside the gate, I ran into Lu Shao, who was rushing over. He grasped my shoulders and spoke before I could. Xiao Man, don't panic. We'll go back right now. I gripped Lu Shao's sleeve tightly. His legs were long, he walked fast, and I almost had to jog to keep up with his pace. On the road, the usually calm and composed Lu Shao drove like he was flying. I didn't get to see my father for the last time. He lay on the hospital bed, thin and gaunt, his face pale and transparent, no longer possessing the ease and handsomeness he once had. I don't remember how I left the hospital, only that my whole body went weak, and Lu Shao carried me on his back. His back was broad and warm, just like his embrace. The river breeze gently brushed past us. I smelled the faint scent of lemon in Lu Shao's hair. I tightened my arms around his neck. Lu Shao, from now on I only have you. Lu Shao's steps faltered for a moment. He turned his head and said softly to me, Xiao Man, move in and live with me. I pressed my head tightly against his back in response. After my father's funeral was completed, Lu terminated the lease on the rented apartment. She bought a plane ticket to Paris, not including one for Lu Shao. I overheard her and Lu Shao talking in the living room from my room. Their voices were neither loud nor soft, just enough for me to hear clearly. Are you really leaving? Lu Shao asked. Being with him these 2 years can be considered my former dream. I have no regrets. Lu's usually clear and gentle voice carried a hint of loneliness. You don't necessarily have to go abroad. Perhaps ... I must go. I like it there. Xiao, you must take good care of Xiao Man. She needs you. The last 2 sentences made me blush. I suddenly felt somewhat ashamed of my past actions towards Lu. On the day Lu left, Lu Shao and I went to the airport to see her off. She was still dressed exquisitely and beautifully. Her chestnut brown hair tied into a bun at the back. A black coat paired with light blue straight-leg jeans, intellectual and elegant. She truly didn't look like a woman nearly 50. She was so uniquely beautiful. She had clearly served my father so diligently for over half a year, yet she didn't seem particularly sad about his passing. She was so calm and detached, like a butterfly that had only briefly alighted on a certain scenery. It would be many years later, when I was amidst the swirling snowstorms of Ushuaia, that I received a postcard from Chin Lu. She wrote on it, "Loving him was the best thing I ever did in this life. But those times are gone. Xiao Man, we must ultimately look forward." At that moment, Lu Shao was not by my side. At that moment, gazing at the endlessly stretching ice and snow before me, I burst into tears. There was a painting in Lu Shao's room. In the painting were 4 penguins and a sentence. "In del mundo principio detado." I asked Lu Shao, "What does that mean?" "The end of the world." "Why is Ushuaia the end of the world?" "Because this town is very close to the Antarctic continent. Many scientific expeditions heading to Antarctica use it as a rear base or a transfer station. It's a free port, but also a distant, lonely port." That day when I returned, I locked myself in my room, lost in thought. No matter how Lu Shao knocked, I remained unmoved. Amidst the hustle and bustle of the airport, Chin Lu hugged me deeply for the first time. She said, "Xiao Man, I really like you. I wish you happiness." I couldn't understand why she could be so gentle to someone who had treated her so poorly. It made me seem like a heinous villain. It was until Lu Shao used the spare key to open the door that my tears finally could be held back. Lu Shao walked over to me in 2 or 3 steps and pulled me into his arms. "It's all right, Xiao Man. She never blamed you." I cried even harder, tears and sniffles all smearing onto Lu Shao's clothes. He smiled and ruffled my hair. "A little girl won't look good if she cries her makeup off." I looked up at him through tear-blurred eyes and asked, "So what if I am not good looking? You'd still like me, right?" Lu Shao's eyes dimmed for an instant. Then he nodded. "Right. Brother will always like Xiao Man." I pushed him away angrily. "I don't want a brother. How many times do I have to tell you?" Lu Shao fell silent. He stared at me silently for a long time. Then finally his thin lips parted. "Xiao Man, stop messing around. We are siblings." "Who are siblings with you?" "Your mother isn't my mother. We share no blood relation. We are not siblings." At night, Lu Shao was preparing lessons in the study. I pushed the door open, my hair disheveled. He looked up at me, his expression calm and unruffled. "Lu Shao, I'll ask you one more time. Do you like me or not?" Lu Shao frowned slightly. Under the bright light, my gaze fell on his long, slender fingers holding the pen. I couldn't help but think, if one day those beautiful fingers could be joined with mine, how wonderful that would be. Hold your hand, and grow old together with you. I wanted to be led by them to many, many places. The scenery didn't have to be great, as long as I was with Lu Shao. But Lu Shao didn't love me. He pushed me away once again. "Xiao Man, I've said it before. I can give you anything you want, except love." I refused to give up. "Why?" Lu Shao stared at me, silent for a long time, his voice light and slow. "Because I've always thought of you as my little sister." Never before had he rejected me so clearly. I felt like a clown fleeing in disgrace. Besides hiding away quickly, I didn't know what to do. I started hanging out with Shu Shao, skipping classes, playing cards, gaming, street racing. I knew Lu Shao wouldn't like a fiery and strange girl like me, but I couldn't control myself. The fiery little lion inside my heart had grown up with me. It had even become so powerful that I couldn't rein it in. The day he discovered I smoked, Lu Shao was furious. He threw the lighter I'd left in the bathroom harshly in front of me. His eyes were like cold stars, his voice full of anger. Just like the day my father had his accident and I confronted him, he used my full name again. "He Shuangman, who did you learn this from?" I had never seen Lu Shao like this before. He was always gentle and calm. I didn't speak, stubbornly meeting his gaze. His phone rang. Lu Shao answered it, his tone softening instantly. "Okay, all right." Then, Lu Shao quickly cleared all the cigarettes from my room, including the lighter, coldly tossed a "reflect on your behavior" at me, and went out. I didn't obediently reflect in my room. Instead, I secretly followed Lu Shao. Sure enough, he went to see that girl again. They walked side by side in the sunlight, and actually looked somewhat well matched. I sat on a bench by the roadside for a while, then got up and went home. Lu Shao came back very late. Seeing me sitting on the sofa, he rubbed the space between his brows. I don't know why, but he looked a little pale. "Why are the lights off?" he asked, sitting down opposite me. "Too bright," I said. Lu Shao leaned forward, elbows on his knees, fingers loosely clasped, and looked at me. "How are your studies lately? Finding it difficult?" I didn't know when he had started becoming like Xiao used to be. Seemingly caring about me on the surface, caring about my studies, my life, but actually not understanding, or perhaps not caring about what I really thought. "Pretty good," I replied. "Xiao Man, your brother wants what's best for you," I asked him. "Lu Shao, do you like her?" Lu Shao frowned, seeming not to understand. I reminded him, "The girl you saw this afternoon." Lu Shao was momentarily stunned, then said, "It's nothing like that." "Then who is she?" "She's just a friend. Came to discuss something." I almost asked what thing, but suddenly realized I was being overly familiar. I wasn't anything to him, had no right to question him in this tone. But his evasive eyes right now, and the deliberately softened tone he used when answering the phone this afternoon, were like a knife stabbing into my heart, going deeper little by little. "Lu Shao," I called him. Lu Shao looked up at me, his eyes bright. See, Lu Shao had this ability. Even on such a quiet, dark night, he could still give me a sense of security. His gentleness seemed innate, casually displayed in a single gesture or word, enough to make me fall for him. "I'm sorry," I said. Lu Shao nodded slightly, reaching up to loosen his tie. "Stay away from Shuming Shao from now on." I was surprised. "How did you know?" He stood up. "Just stay away from him, that's all." I obediently stopped hanging out with Shuming Shao, but we were still friends. We'd greet each other if we met at school. I never got on his super cool motorcycle again. The winter break of my junior year was the happiest holiday I'd had. Lu Shao and I curled up on the same sofa watching movies. Sci-fi, documentaries, comedies, war films. I was an art student, but was practically half-blind when it came to history. Lu Shao would patiently explain those wars, the thunderous events, the shifting winds and clouds. Outside the window, the wind howled. Rain and snow fell together. Inside, the lights were bright, warm as spring. "Xiao Man, this world is beautiful. The years are long. We need to slowly make peace with it." That man, his voice was gentler than Chinese flowering crabapple blooming at 3 a.m., and it made my heart flutter even more. It's just a pity that at that time, isolated and extreme as I was, I didn't deeply understand his meaning. On Christmas afternoon, Lu Shao received a call and went out. Happily, I took out the decorations I had prepared long in advance from the wardrobe and spent the whole afternoon decorating the living room. I texted Lu Shao to ask when he'd be back, then put on a Santa outfit and hid in the glass cabinet behind the balcony. This spot was very hidden, usually used by Lu Shao and me for storing recyclables. We only passed it when hanging laundry, so I was sure Lu Shao wouldn't find me. I waited for a long time, almost falling asleep, before Lu Shao finally returned. He was followed by that girl, the one who talked animatedly with him in the coffee shop, the one who walked alongside him in the park. "Xiao Man?" Lu Shao called my name and went into my bedroom. Then he took out a set of my clothes and handed them to the girl. "She's not here. Go in and change." After that, the girl came out wearing my clothes. Lu Shao's gaze lingered on her for a moment. I didn't expect it to fit so well. I was worried it wouldn't fit. Xiao Man is too thin. At that moment, I couldn't hold back anymore. I wanted to jump out of the cabinet, but my legs were numb and couldn't support me, so I ended up rolling onto the floor. Embarrassing. Humiliating. Lu Shao and the girl both rushed over to me. Lu Shao scooped me up in his arms and said to the girl, "Zining, please wait here for a bit by yourself." After saying that, Lu Shao carried me into my bedroom. He put me on the bed, took off my Santa costume, and leaned over to check if my legs were injured. His fingers were ice cold. I couldn't help but shiver violently, and tears started falling too. Lu Shao looked up at me, his expression complex. Why is she wearing my clothes? Xiao Man, listen to me. Her clothes accidentally got ... Who is she? Why is she wearing my clothes? I yelled, pushing him away. In that moment, I clearly saw the dejection, helplessness, and disappointment in Lu Shao's eyes. But I couldn't control myself. I jumped off the bed and ran out. Passing through the living room, I met the girl's somewhat bewildered gaze. I glared at her fiercely, then slammed the door shut as I left. I ran very fast, only stopping when I realized it was snowing lightly, small flakes melting the moment they touched my palm. I only wore a sweater and didn't have my phone. Hugging my arms, I curled up on a wooden bench by the road, lost in thought. Xiao happened to pass by with a few of his buddies, laughing and talking. Seeing me, he first froze, then took off his jacket and wrapped it around me. He Shuangman, what's wrong? I glanced at him but didn't answer. Xiao frowned. Who the hell bullied you? Tell me, I'll fucking kill him. At his words, the buddies behind him started making sarcastic remarks in unison. Yo, Lu Shao. Spring hasn't even arrived, and your peach blossoms are blooming. Lu Shao. Is this that something man you mentioned last time? Incredible, Lu Shao is starting to play with women. What's your words? What do you mean, play with women? My brother Shu is a proper guy. Xiao turned and looked at the guys, and they immediately fell silent. He Shuangman, will you be my girlfriend? Xiao suddenly said. He startled me. I tried to take off his jacket to return it, but he stopped me. He reached out and brushed aside the hair fallen in front of my ear, adding, It's okay. I won't ask about your business. You just need to be with me. If the first sentence was startling, the second one was tempting. So, as if possessed, I nodded. I really started dating Xiao. My motives were impure to make Lu Shao angry. He Shuangman. What did I tell you last time? I told you to stay away from him. Didn't you hear me? Lu Shao grabbed my arm. I smiled at him. Brother, don't worry. Xiao is a good kid now. We don't go to those disreputable places anymore. I saw the light in Lu Shao's eyes darken, but the hand gripping my arm didn't let go. Brother, Ming Shao is waiting for me downstairs. We're going to see a movie. After saying that, I pried his hand off and turned to leave. Before the motorcycle turned the corner, I looked back. Lu Shao was standing by the pomelo tree at the courtyard gate, watching us. The streetlight was cool, fragmenting his tall figure. Xiao in a relationship wasn't as rough around the edges as he seemed. He planned every date. I didn't have to do anything, just go along with him. What do you like about me? I asked Xiao. He tilted his head and thought. Probably ... maybe ... because you look kinda dumb. Me. ... Another reason, you're really good at gaming. Oh, Lu Shao talked to me twice. I thought he would try to stop me from dating Xiao, but he didn't. He just calmly advised me to protect myself. Hypocritical. Ridiculous. I repeated these two words in my heart, and could never be nice to Lu Shao again. We almost stopped talking to each other. He was silent and distant. I was cold and polite. He was right. We were just siblings. I deliberately stayed out very late with Xiao. I thought Lu Shao would wait up for me, but all that waited was a lamp in the living room. So it was true. He didn't care about me. Being good to me was just because we were siblings. One night, Xiao saw me home as usual. After we said goodnight, he suddenly grabbed my shoulders, leaned down, and kissed my cheek. Pushing open the main door, a powerful force grabbed me, and then I was slammed heavily against the wall, instantly seeing stars. In the dim light, I saw Lu Shao's eyes burning like fire. He looked at me with a sinister expression, like a wolf. I was terrified by this version of Lu Shao, frozen in place. I had never seen him like this. He Shuangman, trying to piss me off on purpose? Huh? He leaned close, his words gritted out. He pinned both my wrists above my head with one hand. His skin was burning hot as if trying to melt me. He was very strong. I felt like my wrists were about to break. The pain and fear made tears stream from my eyes. I tried to control my throat, but couldn't at all, letting it emit loud sobs. Because I was breathing heavily, my chest needed to heave significantly. But Lu Shao was pressing tightly against my body. I felt like I was suffocating. Lu Shao just watched me cry silently, the expression on his face shifting from fierce to angry to cold. Suddenly, like a deflated ball, he violently threw my hands away, staggering back 2 steps. I stared at him, sniffling, wishing in my heart he would say something like, "Sorry," or comfort me. He didn't. He just turned and left in a panic. His tall, lonely figure seemed to tear a bright gash in the quiet night. I peered through that gash and saw every moment I had spent with Lu Shao, saw his gentleness, his attentiveness, saw him raising his eyebrows, sighing, saw all of him, and the rebellious, willful me in his eyes. That Lu Shao from just now couldn't have meant it. He would never treat me like that. Lu Shao. I called him, my trembling voice sounding panicked. Lu Shao stopped walking but didn't turn around. As if bewitched, I walked up to him and hugged him from behind. Lu Shao, I like you. I like how good you are to me. I like it when you carry me on your back. I like it when you touch my head. I like it when you call me little girl. I like it when you cook for me. I really like you. Double quotes. Lu Shao's body swayed unsteadily. He raised a hand and rubbed his temple hard, then pried my hands open, turned around, looked down at me, his voice unusually hoarse. Xiao Man, what are you talking about? We are siblings. We share no blood relation. I don't like you. Say that again. Shuangman, I don't like you. From now on, your matters with Shuming Shao. I won't interfere either. After saying that, he quickly walked away. During the days when the temperature dropped sharply, Shuming Shao caught a cold, and I accompanied him to the hospital. Passing by the neurology outpatient room, I saw the girl Lu Shao called Zinning. She didn't look much older than me, but she was actually a doctor. After leaving the hospital, I was somewhat distracted. Shuming Shao put his arm around my shoulder. What's up? No need to worry that much, it's just a cold. I didn't speak, focusing on kicking a stone on the ground. By the way, have you thought about the apartment? I came back to my senses. Okay, I'll go back and move my things tonight. After all, men and women are different. I don't want you living with him anymore. If you're scared renting alone, you could live in the dorm. Forget it. I don't like living with many people. Shuming Shao grinned cheekily and leaned in front of me. Then should I move in with you? I changed the subject. I'm hungry. Let's go eat. Shuming Shao flicked my forehead. Just kidding. But if you're really scared, I can rent the opposite unit and live there. No need. I'm not scared. Let's go eat. I went home very late that day. I stood at the door for a long time, unable to figure out how to bring it up with Lu Shao. Pushing the door open, the smell of alcohol hit me. No one was in the main room. I searched all the way to the study, and saw Lu Shao sitting at the desk, flipping through a notebook. He only noticed me when I was beside him. He belatedly put the notebook away, locked it in the drawer, then stood up unsteadily, looking at me with some surprise. Before I could say, I want to move out, he pulled me into his arms. You're back, Xiao Man. You're back. I thought you weren't coming back. Double quotes. Chin rubbed repeatedly against the top of my head. It hurt a little. Lu Shao was drunk again. The second time. Or maybe more. I pushed him away, made him sit back in the chair, and said to him with a smile, Brother, I have something to double quotes. I don't want to be your brother anymore. He picked me up, set me on his lap, and tilted his head up slightly to gaze at me. Under the hazy glow of the wall lamp, I saw his prominent, exquisitely full Adam's apple and the sharp, clean lines of his neck. I suddenly felt like teasing him, so I raised my hand and touched his stubble. Speak plainly. Shuangman, I want to be your man. My heart trembled violently amidst the strong scent of wine. Was this something Lu Shao could say? All right. I imitated the women in the movies, leaned down, and blew a breath towards his Adam's apple, pretending to be experienced. Shuangman, you seem quite experienced. I pinched and rolled his earlobe between my thumb and index finger, playing with it. Yes, Shuming Shao taught me. Almost instantly, Lu Shao's face darkened severely. The hand that had been gently caressing my back suddenly turned into a forceful grip. He Shuangman. His thin lips parted, his gaze icy cold to the extreme. I've really spoiled you, haven't I? I moved away from him. Yes, so now you reap what you sow. Back in my room, I started packing my things. After packing, I dragged my suitcase out of the main hall without looking back. When I reached the yard, I saw the plants, almost withered from the winter snow, and remembered the first time I saw Lu Shao. It was right here that he first smiled at me, first called me little girl, and then he got pestered by me. He probably thought he was pretty unlucky. For over 2 years, he had been accommodating me, tolerating me. How could I possibly stop liking someone like that? I stood there for a very long time. Actually, I somewhat regretted it. But Lu Shao didn't come to stop me. I didn't know how to back down from this position. Even though it was contradictory, I still hoped he would rub my head like before and say, Xiao Man, stop messing around. Then I wouldn't have to leave. I really didn't want to leave him. Even if he didn't like me, I didn't want to leave him. Pushing open the wooden gate of the courtyard, I looked back and saw Lu Shao actually standing outside the main hall, watching me. He leaned slightly against the snow-white wall, the spark of his cigarette brightening and dimming in the cold wind. He only wore a dark blue loose-knit sweater. His neck was long, the short hair on his forehead slightly messy. He looked like a youth embedded in a vintage watercolor painting, bright yet serene. I saw him smoking hard, puff after puff, somewhat fiercely, as if suppressing something. I didn't leave. I waited for him to call me, but I waited so long until the cigarette in his hand burned out, and he still didn't call my name. I really left. I really moved out of Lu Shao's lovely, warm little quadrangle courtyard. Not living with Lu Shao, my life completely fell into a state of extreme decadence. I ate instant noodles until I felt sick. I didn't change trash bags until they stank. The couch crevices were full of snack crumbs, fruit peels molded in the corner. Shao came over, cursing under his breath, to help me clean up. He yanked the windows open forcefully. Whoosh, blinding sunlight poured in, and I could barely keep my eyes open. I snatched the broom from him. You go. Don't worry about me. I'll pay you back for the rent. Shao's expression froze. What do you mean? I repeated. I said you should go. Don't worry about me. I can take care of myself. Shao silently glanced back at the various bags of trash he had collected. This is you taking care of yourself. I don't need anyone to manage me. Go, really. Thank you, Shao. After saying that, I directly pushed him out the door. I think I was sick. I got sick after leaving Lu Shao. He had taken care of me too well. I was like a flower raised in a greenhouse. Suddenly without shelter, suddenly having to face the wind and snow, I could only wither rapidly. When Lu Shao came, I was sleeping fitfully on the sofa. I had drunk a little alcohol just before, and was very sleepy. I read online that drinking a little before bed helps you sleep. I hadn't slept well in a long time. Every night I had nightmares, just like after my mother first died. No matter what the initial scene was, it would always freeze on that blood-filled bathroom in the end. I woke up each time drenched in sweat without exception. Half dreaming, half awake, the tall figure seemed to first go into my bedroom, fuss around inside for a long time, then come out and pick me up. His arms were long and strong. The familiar scent on his clothes vied with each other to drill into my dream, and I soon fell deeply asleep again. When I woke up again, it was afternoon. The room was dim. A wall lamp by the door was on. Just as I was about to get out of bed, I was startled. The floor was so clean I hardly knew where to step. The air was filled with the smell of century egg and lean pork congee. I froze for a few seconds, then practically jumped out of bed, running barefoot into the kitchen. Lu Shao was wearing an apron, chopping vegetables. His tall figure seemed a bit cramped in the small space. In that moment, it was as if all the snow in the world fell at once, and every couple held each other's hands, experiencing growing old together. Go take a shower. Lu Shao glanced at me, his tone commanding. I happily ran to the bathroom and scrubbed myself from head to toe. What did Yishu say? As long as you take a hot bath, you can be reborn. While I was drying my hair, Lu Shao pushed the door open and came in. Without a word, he took the hairdryer from me and helped. When we lived together, I often pestered him to dry my hair for me. My hair was long. Drying it myself was always laborious and time-consuming. If he did it, It took less than 10 minutes. Lu Shao was very tall. Even looking at his reflection in the mirror, I had to tilt my head back slightly. Lu Shao. Maybe the hairdryer was too loud, drowning me out. He didn't respond. Lu Shao. I called again. This time I was sure he heard but didn't want to answer, because I saw his eyelashes tremble. Lu Shao seemed to be angry. He didn't speak during the meal either, but he would sneak glances at me, and also put food in my bowl. Before, he would always ask me like an elder how my studies were going lately, if I had any troubles or needed his help with anything. Now he was so quiet. I had no choice but to say, "Didn't you say you wouldn't interfere with my matters anymore?" I regretted it as soon as I said it, making me seem petty. Him interfering made me happier than anyone. That sentence of his, I clearly knew it was just said in anger. "If I don't interfere, who will?" Lu Shao said, standing up to clear the bowls. Crash. Before I could finish, a bowl in Lu Shao's hand fell to the floor with a loud noise. I teased him. "If you don't want to work, just say so." Lu Shao stared blankly at his own hand, then blankly at the fragments on the floor, standing motionless. I ran to get the broom and dustpan. "All right, you rest for a bit." In the end, I washed the dishes. Lu Shao leaned against the kitchen doorway watching me. "Xiao Man," he called me, his voice hoarse and low. What's up?" I turned around. "Tomorrow I'll teach you how to cook." "Why?" Lu Shao smiled. "How old are you? What will you do if you starve to death when you're alone later?" "How could I be alone? I still have you. Before I finished, I saw the dimming light in Lu Shao's eyes and immediately stopped. He seemed about to get angry again. Fine, I wouldn't say it. I'd just go along with him for now. Anyway, I would still keep pestering him. Back then, I was so certain I would be with Lu Shao in this lifetime. So certain I would be with him forever. Later, this wish of mine finally came true. But only half of it. Lu Shao really started teaching me to cook, starting with the collar chicken wings I liked. First, score the chicken wings on both sides. Put them in a pot with cold water. Add ginger slices and spring onion segments to boil. Remember to skim off the white foam during the process. Don't boil for too long, just until about 40 to 50% cooked is fine. Then prepare star anise, Sichuan peppercorns, cinnamon bark. Heat oil, stir fry, pour in the cola. Simmer on low heat to reduce the sauce. The steps sounded really simple, no difficult or incomprehensible parts. But for some reason, mine always turned out burnt. Lu Shao was full of disdain. It was the first time I saw him make that expression. He said, "Xiao Man, you have exceeded my expectations in terms of stupidity." His deadpan tone was really asking for a punch. Lu Shao went on to teach me how to make sweet and sour pork tenderloin and a few other common home-style dishes. My learning was still rather haphazard. "Xiao Man, many things can't be rushed. It's like the path we have to walk in this lifetime. As long as the direction is set, don't panic. Where we are going, what we are going to do, has nothing to do with the scenery along the way. So we must choose to calmly accept and cherish this journey. Only then will we not feel tired, and feel that this trip to the human world has meaning." Lu Shao's eyes were bright, cleaner than the snowflakes drifting against the window. I only half understood. I didn't want to continue this topic, so I tugged his sleeve and said, all right, I understand. "Lu Shao, you've been a bit strange lately, double quotes." Lu Shao smiled. "Because my little girl has grown up. I need to quickly act more like an adult again, otherwise I'm afraid I'll miss the chance." Later, I wondered how Lu Shao managed to hide it from me during that time. It was because he was always composed and calm, letting me see not a single crack in his facade. "Lu Shao, I want to eat that yogurt cake." "Okay." Lu Shao responded with a smile and walked to the coat rack to get his jacket. I took the car keys from his jacket pocket and placed them on the coffee table. He looked at me, puzzled. "I want to take the bus," I said. Lu Shao was helpless. "Fine." It was snowing outside, children were playing and laughing. I turned my head and asked Lu Shao, walking beside me, "How much farther to the bus stop?" Lu Shao thought for a moment. "At your pace, probably another 15 minutes. I stopped walking. "It's too far." Lu Shao raised an eyebrow, silent. I looked at him expressionlessly. We were more or less reconciled now, right? So then, before my little scheme could fully form, Lu Shao walked in front of me and crouched down. Get on. Okay, plan successful. See? Lu Shao was Lu Shao. Always understood Xiaoman best. Lu Shao's back was broad, like his embrace. I pressed my face tightly against it, the tip of my nose filled with his unique minty scent. Xiaoman. Lu Shao suddenly stopped walking and slightly turned his head. What is it? I lifted my head, seeing his resolute facial contours. You must remember what your brother told you. I didn't like him using the word brother. I said, Lu Shao, you really have been a bit strange lately. It's because you aren't obedient enough. What guardian doesn't worry? I was quite pleased with the term guardian, so I said happily, Okay, guardian, I will be obedient in the future. Lu Shao chuckled lightly and started running with me on his back. I was startled and tightened my arms around his neck deftly. I wanted to call his name, but the snowy wind hit me head-on. I couldn't breathe, so I could only bury my face deeply into the gentle vortex before me. Xiao Man, I might be going on a business trip soon. Take good care of yourself. On the bus back, Lu Shao said this. Business trip? Oh, Lu Shao was a teacher. A business trip probably meant going to other, more advanced institutions for observation or training. Okay, for how many days? Not long. 3 or 4 days. Later, I thought, if I had been more observant then, I would definitely have caught that faint trace of panic in the corner of Lu Shao's eyes and brows. When we parted that night, I stood below the apartment complex watching Lu Shao get in the car. Watching him start the engine and drive a distance away. Ming Xiao had rented an apartment for me on the 5th floor. When I took the elevator up and got home, my phone rang. It was Lu Shao. I answered, called his name, but received no response, only an infinitely long silence. At that moment, I inexplicably felt that fate seemed to be brewing a huge outburst aimed at me. Lu Shao. I called again, my voice already trembling slightly. After another moment, an intermittent voice came through the phone. The signal was bad just now. I just forgot to tell you. The temperature will drop tonight. Pay attention. I breathed a sigh of relief. You called but didn't say anything. I thought something had happened to you. You scared me to death. Lu Shao's flight was the next day at 3 p.m. I went to see him off. Amidst the bustling crowd, he reached out and ruffled my hair, only saying one sentence. Remember to eat well and sleep well. Okay, guardian. Until that tall figure merged into the crowd and disappeared within it, did I turn and walk out. I went to the supermarket and bought some chicken wings. I refused to believe that following Lu Shao's instructions step by step would result in something so unpalatable. I refused to believe this curse. I had just stepped out of the supermarket carrying my shopping bag when my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered. Hello? Hello, Xiao Man. In the British-style coffee shop outside the school, Zhu Xining sat smiling opposite me. She looked the same as the previous 2 times I saw her, with delicate features. Do you need something? I said coldly. I didn't like her. Even though she seemed kind and friendly, I still didn't like her. Xiao Man, I asked you out today because I have something to tell you. I gripped my coffee cup and hummed an acknowledgement. Go ahead. Don't misunderstand. Lu Shao and I are just friends. We were high school classmates. He was my senior by 2 grades. Back then I did like him. Lu Shao, after all, excellent and handsome. Who wouldn't? I was just being infatuated. Now I have a husband and a child. I love them very much, and they love me too. So Xiao Man, you must not misunderstand the relationship between me and Lu Shao. I looked up, meeting Zhu Zhening's gentle eyes. Last time, I'm sorry. It was because my clothes got splashed by water from a car on the road. Double quotes. Zhu Xining said apologetically. It's fine. It's all in the past, I said. Zhu Xining glanced out the window, her voice very soft. The reason I sought you out today is that I wanted to tell you. Actually, Lu Shao is sick. I was stunned. Sick? Atypical meningioma. In early 2014, my father was the chief surgeon. Lu Shao is sick? I repeated her words, standing up from my seat. Xiao Man, Please calm down first and listen to me. I pinched my palm, forcing myself to sit back down, even though my mind was already in chaos. Atypical meningioma. It's not a malignant tumor. It's a type between benign and malignant. That means there is a chance it can be cured, but of course, also a chance it can develop into malignancy. Its recurrence rate isn't high, and as long as the first 5 years pass safely, the recurrence rate is even lower. It was like a bolt from the blue. I looked at the person in front of me incredulously. Besides the first time we met where we chatted a bit about how we'd been, I remember it was also in this coffee shop. All the other times we talked about his condition. Because, like my father, I also work in neurology. Then he. This time how ... I was somewhat incoherent, wanting to ask many things but not knowing where to start. The condition has recurred. 5 words made my heart sink to the bottom of the sea in an instant. But don't panic yet. He has always had regular checkups. It was discovered early this time, so the problem probably won't be too serious. So, his saying he was on a business trip was a lie. He was going for surgery. Really? Not too serious? If it's not too serious, why would you come tell me this ... double quotes. Zhu Zinning fell silent. Her silence was like a sharp knife, cutting me to pieces, leaving me bloodied and bruised. Tears fell like broken pearls, one by one, onto the back of my hand. I suddenly understood why Lu Shao had been so strange these past 2 days. He was preparing for the worst. Xiao Lu Shao loves you very much. I looked up at Zhu Zinning. Her expression was resolute, as if stating something as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. I didn't understand why she said that. At that time, I had no idea that Lu Shao had already quietly transferred the ownership of the quadrangle courtyard to my name. Besides that, his car, his savings, he had transferred everything to me with a handwritten letter and a disc that could prove his intent. And Zhu Zinning knew all about this. Thank you, Sister Zinning. I frantically ran towards the hospital, just like how Lu Shao had once run towards me with all his might in that dark alley. Lu Shao, please, you must wait for me. This time, let me protect you, okay? A white Bentley stopped beside me. Xu Mingshao's head popped out from the passenger window. Girlfriend, where are you going? Girlfriend? I felt a bit ashamed. I seemed to have long forgotten I had a boyfriend. Not having time to think too much, I hurriedly got in the car. To Central Hospital. Thank you. Xu Mingxiao told the driver to go to Central Hospital, then looked at me through the rearview mirror. His expression somewhere between a smile and not. It's only been a short while since we last met. Why so polite already? I lowered my head, my heart in turmoil, restless and uneasy. Why are you going to the hospital? Xu Mingxiao asked again. I'm going for something. Xu Mingxiao directly leaned his head over, frowning. Are you not feeling well? I pushed his head back. No, sit properly. Then why are you going to the hospital? Lu Shao, he ... I didn't know how to say it. It couldn't be explained in a sentence or two. Oh. Xu Mingxiao glanced at me in the rearview mirror, then lowered his eyes. Thinking about it, I said, Mingxiao, Before I could finish, I met Xu Mingxiao's gaze in the rearview mirror, calm as if awaiting some kind of verdict. I suddenly found it hard to say. I told myself, forget it, now is not the time for this. When I saw Lu Shao, hairless and wearing a surgical gown, I didn't cry. In that instant, I suddenly remembered what he told me. We must learn to make peace with this world. Only then does our trip to this human world have meaning. But when Lu Shao smiled and reached out to touch my hair, I burst into tears. The person I liked was always calm and rational, even when facing life and death. No crying, Lu Shao said sternly, using his thumb to roughly wipe the tears from my face. I threw myself into his arms, pressing my face tightly against his warm chest. Inside were heartbeats like thunder. I heard him chuckle softly and murmur, Seems I still couldn't fool my little girl. Lu Xiao said he wanted to eat an apple. Unsuspicious, I immediately ran downstairs to buy one. When I returned, Lu Shao had already entered the operating room. Xu Mingxiao was sitting on a long bench, spaced out. Seeing me, Xu Mingxiao shrugged. I couldn't persuade him to wait. I went and sat next to him. Before I could speak, He put his arm around my shoulder, his voice gentle. He'll be fine. I'll wait with you for him to come out. Jin Lu appeared in my field of vision, pulling a suitcase, looking travel-worn. Usually composed and calm, even she had a trace of panic in the corners of her eyes and brows. But she still held my hand and said, "Don't be afraid. It's a minor problem." I admired her ability to remain unruffled in crisis. In this, Lu Shao was very much like her. But how could I not be afraid? The person I loved most was inside, undergoing such a major life and death struggle, and I could only wait here for him, unable to do anything. 2.5 hours passed. I could no longer hold back the fear in my heart. Grabbing Chin Lu's sleeve, I cried loudly, "Auntie, I regret it so much. I shouldn't have made him angry. I should have listened to him. Auntie, I want him to be okay. In the future. I'll listen to everything he says. I don't want him to die. Chin Lu took a wet wipe from her bag and dried my tears. "Xiao Man, Lu Shao definitely wouldn't like to see you cry." These words brought me back to life instantly. She was right. Lu Shao didn't like me crying. I hastily wiped the tears from my face. I couldn't let Lu Shao see me like this when he came out. He would definitely tease me for being a calico cat. Just like when I lost at cards before. But when the operating room door finally opened, what I saw was a Lu Shao with closed eyes, who wouldn't smile, wouldn't call me little girl, and certainly wouldn't tease me. He lay so quietly, his brow gentle. Only then did I see some stubble seemingly sprouting on his chin. I decided I would shave it for him myself when he woke up. The doctor said the surgery was successful, but the patient needed to stay in the ICU for observation for a few days. After Lu Shao regained consciousness, the doctor said family could visit, limited to 20 minutes. I thought Chin Lu would come with me, but she let me go alone. She patted my hand. "He has something to say to you." "Go on." After changing into isolation clothes, I found Lu Shao by his bed number. He was staring quietly at the ceiling, his eyes somewhat blank. Lightly and slowly, my tears and voice emerged simultaneously. "Lu Shao." Lu Shao looked at me, his thick, dark eyebrows slightly furrowed. After a long moment, he spoke. "You are?" It felt like a blow to the head. I was instantly dizzy. Just as I was flustered and at a loss, the person in front of me suddenly laughed, laughing like a child who had succeeded in a prank. "Lu Shao." I yelled at him, tears falling even more heavily. "Silly, I'm fine. No crying." He raised the hand with the four to wipe the tears from my face, his voice exceptionally gentle. "Why did you send me away before going into surgery?" He blinked somewhat mischievously. "Because I was afraid if I saw you, I wouldn't want to go in. After all, I'm your guardian. If I were afraid of the... what if, who would take care of you in the future? And you're so disobedient." I remembered the last thing Zhu Xining said to me that afternoon and asked him, "Just because you re my guardian?" Lu Shao coughed lightly twice. "What else?" "Lu Shao," I called him. "There are only 7 minutes left." Don't you have anything else you want to say to me?" "Xiao Man." My heart leapt with joy and I looked at him expectantly. "I think... double quotes." Lu Shao pondered for a moment, then said seriously, "I think this feels a bit like a prison visit." "Me? ... Lu Shao laughed, his face full of a brilliant yet weak glow. I turned his face to make him look directly at me. "Lu Shao, after your discharge, let's be together, okay?" Lu Shao was stunned for a moment. "Xiao Man, you will meet many good people in the future. You... I don't want to hear that." I interrupted him. "Xiao Man, can we talk about this another day?" "Why?" Lu Shao was helpless. "Because I'm a patient now. I can't get excited. I'm afraid you'll make my blood pressure rise." Lu Shao recovered quite well. 3 days later, he was transferred to a general ward. From then on, the room was piled high with flowers and gifts every day. Watching Lu Shao, surrounded by a group of girls every day, laughing extremely happily, I felt stifled with anger but couldn't find a reason to vent. So I stood far away. After everyone left, Lu Shao waved at me. "Xiao Man, come here." I walked over and saw his sharply defined face still brimming with thick joy. I tried hard not to sound sarcastic. "Why are you so happy?" Lu Shao just stared at me, shaking his head, still smiling. I rolled my eyes. Are you laughing at me? Yes. Why? You guess. I was exasperated. Lu Shao. I'm here. Why have you become different after having your head opened? It seems you've become sillier. Double quotes. Lu Shao's thick brows slightly furrowed. Opened. Yes. Not respectful. No sense of seniority. Lu Shao glanced at me lightly, sat up and put on his clothes. Accompany me for a walk outside. I crossed my arms and sat down on the edge of the bed, not looking at him, staring down at my toes. Let those older sisters accompany you. No reply came. I turned my head and saw Lu Shao looking at me with a faint smile. Could having his head open really have made him silly? I felt this Lu Shao was a bit abnormal. Xiao Man, they are just my students. Nothing more. But you looked very happy. They came to see me. Of course I'm happy. But none of it compares to you being with me. I looked into Lu Shao's eyes. That marsh was so gentle and deep. I thought, I want to possess it forever. On the day Lu Shao was discharged, Xiao came too. I thought Lu Shao would be unfriendly to him, but I was surprised to find they got along very harmoniously, talking and laughing as if they were old friends from years ago. Much later, when Xiao and I talked about Lu Shao again, about that gentle, jade-like, calm and wise man, we could only fall silent. By then, Xiao already had the crow's feet I had teased him about countless times at the corners of his eyes. He still liked to act cool while smoking, liked to tilt his head back and blow white smoke at the sky. He always said, Shuangman, when it comes to liking you, compared to Lu Shao, I admit defeat. I don't know what Lu Shao said to Xiao back then, but I felt how resolute Xiao's eyes and tone were when he said that. At that time, I would suddenly remember that afternoon years ago when Zhu Zining asked to meet me. Her expression when she said those last words was exactly the same as Xiao's. I moved back into the quadrangle courtyard, under the fine-sounding pretext of taking care of the patient. Xiao broke up with me over the phone. I hesitated for a long time and replied with, Xiao, I'm sorry. No need to say sorry. We never said I love you when we were together. So why apologize when we part? Besides, it was me who said back then that I didn't mind you having things on your mind. And that's why you agreed to date me. This is what I should bear. It's okay, Shuangman. I wish you happiness. After thinking for a long time, I replied, Xiao, I wish you happiness too. When Lu Shao's body had mostly recovered, I begged him to accompany me to Mengcheng to see the snow. I heard making a wish at the top of Yufan Snow Mountain is especially effective. Let's try it. Lu Shao was chopping vegetables and responded, what do you want to wish for? Teacher Lu, have you no common sense? Wishes can't be spoken aloud. Even though it was already February, Mengcheng was still bitterly cold. As soon as we got off the train, Lu Shao and I put on our down jackets. Then, standing by the bustling exit, we looked at each other and laughed until we were like 300-pound fatties. Lu Shao, you really look like a penguin in this. Then what are you? A little penguin? Lu Shao raised an eyebrow. Finding a hostel, settling luggage, eating, taking a bus to the foot of Yufan Snow Mountain, Lu Shao arranged everything meticulously and properly. I just needed to follow him like a mentally challenged child. On the first day, we went to Alien Lake. We leaned over the high railing of the speedboat, watching the white boats drifting on the vast, boundless azure lake, watching the seagulls alighting high and low on the boat canopies. I laughed loudly in the howling wind. Lu Shao, I tricked you. It has said online that people who ride a speedboat on Alien Lake together will be together for a lifetime. You're already on my pirate ship, so don't think about escaping. The wind was strong, threatening to blow my hat off countless times. Lu Shao, flusteredly helping me hold down my hat, while saying sternly, Shuangman, you've learned to act first and report later now. I made a face at him. Bite me then. I didn't expect that Lu Shao actually did bite me. His hand pressed heavily against the back of my head through my hat. The wind was so strong, so why did I hear heartbeats like thunder? The whole world froze. The lake water stopped rippling. The seagulls stopped flying. Lu Shao's lips were much colder than the snowy wind rushing past my ears. My whole body was like an ice sculpture, completely unable to move. At that moment, looking at Lu Shao's fan-like, thick, long eyelashes up close, The only thought in my mind was, I'm afraid I will never be able to forget the man named Lu Shao for the rest of my life. It was a very light, very brief kiss, yet it felt as long as a century. I stared dumbly at Lu Shao. Lu Shao stared dumbly at me. The boundless snow scenes on both banks rapidly receded and blurred. I could see nothing, hear nothing. Even if, as Lu Shao said, this world still has a beautiful side, I only want one Lu Shao. Even if, as Lu Shao said, the years are still long, I only want one Lu Shao. We returned to the inn very late. Lu Shao walked in front and I followed far behind, stepping in his footprints. The occasional mountain breeze brushing past carried a sharp, clear resin fragrance, faint and pleasant, somewhat like the scent on Lu Shao's jacket. Since that kiss during the day, the atmosphere between me and Lu Shao had undergone a subtle change. The most typical manifestation was that he no longer looked into my eyes when he spoke to me, unlike before. We returned to the inn almost consecutively. Passing by the first-floor living room, we saw a large group of people sitting on the floor around a fire pit chatting, their voices and laughter lively and boisterous. Lu Shao, Shuangman, come sit. Join us. A long-haired girl enthusiastically waved at us. Lu Shao and I were pushed and jostled by everyone to sit separately, not together. A boy with a short buzz cut and deep features sat between us. The uncle sitting opposite me gestured towards the boy next to me with his chin. Zin, come on. Perform a song for everyone. The boy readily agreed, then picked up the guitar beside him, stood up, and sang Leslie Cheung's heartfelt Person. Loneliness also emits a lingering fragrance, so this is how love feels. Had forgotten this kind of reverie. So beyond my imagination, vaguely infatuated with you once. Just like the tide rising in wind and rain, if it's really too good even if I misjudged. It's fine, the boy's voice was clear and bright, rather reminiscent of the young Leslie Cheung. Everyone was intoxicated and immersed in the music. The only sound in the entire hall was the crackling of the burning firewood. I don't know when it started snowing, falling thick and fast, blanketing everything. Looking out the window, I could vaguely see the flickering lights of houses not far away. When the song ended, applause rose and fell. Everyone praised Arzian not only for his good guitar playing, but also for his wonderful voice. Arzian thanked them one by one, hugged his guitar, and returned to the seat next to me. As he sat down, he accidentally bumped my arm and hurriedly apologized. Sorry. It's fine. No big deal. Are you from T-City? Arzian seemed slightly surprised. I nodded. Yes, you too? Arzian smiled, his eyes curving. Yeah, what a coincidence. What a coincidence. T-City and Mengcheng were separated by about 4,000 kilometers, spanning many mountains, rivers, fields, and cities. To meet someone from home in a foreign land here was indeed a coincidence. Arzian seemed to open up, animatedly telling me some interesting things that happened on his way here. Finally, he asked me, I came here to tour Qinggang. How about you? I kept staring at Lu Shao, who had long had a darkened face beside him, feeling quite pleased. Oh, that's not so coincidental then. I'm not very interested in Qinggang. I came to climb Yufan Snow Mountain. Next, everyone chatted for a while and then started playing games, the eternal truth or dare. Someone directly asked the inn owner to bring over a few cases of beer, declaring that within the 4 seas, all are brothers, and they wouldn't leave until drunk. Throughout the entire session, I never won once. I even lost to Arzian twice, and both times I chose truth. The first question, Arzian asked if I had a boyfriend. I answered no. The second question, Arzian asked if he could pursue me. I answered no, because there was already someone in my heart. I tried my hardest to win against Lu Shao once, but not only did God not grant my wish, he also made me watch as Lu Shao lost to that long-haired girl. Truth or dare, Lu Shao chose the latter. The long-haired girl told him to close his eyes, spin counterclockwise 3 times on the spot, then clockwise 5 times, then play a random pointing game. Whoever he pointed to, he had to give a kiss. Someone protested. That's too much. His girlfriend is right here. Someone explained. What girlfriend? Lu Shao told me yesterday, that's his sister. The long-haired girl urged. Hurry up, Lu Shao, starting now. 1, 2. It was just a casual gathering of travelers from all corners of the country. Yet I would often dream of it many years later. I dreamt of the deep night sky that evening, dreamt of the goose feather like heavy snow, dreamt of the short-haired boy named Azian, dreamt of that Leslie Cheung song, A Person with Intention, dreamt of the slightly tipsy Lu Shao. I discovered that I liked Lu Shao best after he drank. He could always give me the surprises I wanted. Last time he said, Shuangman, I want to be your man. This time he said, Shuangman, I fucking like you. This really didn't sound like something Lu Shao could say. He was always restrained and humble in demeanor. Even if he understood things perfectly, his expression would only show a little. But he kissed me in front of so many people. That he said the word, like, to me in front of so many people. I don't remember how the party ended. Only that Lu Shao insisted on taking me for a walk outside. He was like a child saying he wanted to go out and see the snow. Then, in the icy, snowy world, he pulled me close with one arm and placed his other hand on the back of my head, applying slight pressure to make me look up at him. He said, Xiao Man, if one day I raised my hand to cover his mouth. No, Lu Shao, there won't be that day. If there is, I will definitely go with you. Because I cannot bear the pain of having you and then losing you. All along this journey, you taught me to study, taught me to grow, taught me to make peace with myself and with this world. Although I am rebellious and clumsy, I am tracing your shadow, moving forward in the same direction as you. I won't allow you to appear briefly only as a teacher. If I cannot change the mission of the gods, if I cannot take you away, then I will defy the laws of nature. I will go with you. I know what you're worried about. But have you ever thought about what I would be like if you weren't by my side? Lu Shao, you can't be so cruel. Lu Shao gazed at me deeply. Suddenly, he pulled me into his arms very tightly. That embrace was very, very tight. So tight that even wearing such a thick down jacket, I almost couldn't breathe. Don't flirt with that Azan anymore. Lu Shao said lowly in my ear. I was pushing my luck. I'm considering inviting him to climb Yifan Snow Mountain with me. Lu Shao increased the force of his hand on my waist and pinched me. Xiao Man, don't deliberately make me angry. I'm a patient. Bah, you are not a patient. I'm your man. Lu Shao, you won't go back on your word tomorrow, will you? You can't use the excuse of being drunk and not clear-headed to brush me off. I'll honor it. Either way, it seems your opening healed quite well. After spinning so many times, you could still find me. Lu Shao laughed, the hot breath he exhaled making the top of my head itch. Did you forget my profession? I closed my eyes, greedily lingering in the scent that belonged only to Lu Shao. I had never felt so close to him before. Lu Shao and I got together at 23:17 on the second night, after arriving in Mencheng. Lu Shao kept his word. The next day, he truly didn't go back on his promise. But when I pestered him for a good morning kiss, he seemed a bit awkward and hesitant. I withdrew from his embrace. Fine then. I'll just go invite Azian to climb the snow mountain with me. Just as I turned to leave, my arm was pulled, the world spun, and a cool softness heavily sealed my lips. Amidst the heavy breathing, I opened my eyes to look at the person opposite me. His nose bridge was so high, his eyelashes so long. This was Lu Shao. It was indeed Lu Shao. The Lu Shao I constantly thought of. The Lu Shao I wanted to be with forever and ever. Lu Shao bundled me up tightly with a hat and scarf before we went out. We had just reached the foot of the mountain when sporadic snowflakes began drifting in the sky. Some couples, holding hands, cheered and ran. I also threw myself into Lu Shao's arms, nearly making him lose his balance. Lu Shao was so tall. Even when I tilted my head all the way back, I could only see his chin. I said, I hope the snow gets heavier. Lu Xiao looked down at me. Why? So lacking in romance. I reached out a hand to pinch the stubble on his chin. Haven't you heard the saying? Falling snow shares a white head. Lu Shao laughed. A snowflake happened to land on his eyelash, making him blink quickly. Yifan Snow Mountain was truly high. The entire way I clung to Lu Shao's arm like a koala. He was tall, long-legged, and had good stamina, so being practically carried along made it much easier for me. There were many tourists, lively all the way. There were even a few familiar faces from last night's game and drinking session who greeted us warmly as they passed. Feeling a bit tired, I pointed to a viewing pavilion not far away and said to Lu Shao, "Let's rest over there." Lu Shao didn't move, raising an eyebrow at me. "Xiao Man, this isn't even 1/3 of the way." "No way, not even 1/3. Lu Shao reached out and ruffled my hair. "Little lazy bones." I jumped onto him. "You're not lazy, then carry me, okay?" Lu Shao held me and chuckled. "Okay." So many people came and went. It seemed I was the only one being carried. People kept casting burning glances at me from time to time, so I had to bury my face in the hood of Lu Shao's down jacket. Walking and stopping, stopping and walking. We finally reached the summit as evening approached. By then, the snow was already falling heavily. The summit featured a classical-style courtyard, very large, about the size of a small town. The perennial, unmelted snow had dyed the winding wooden railings a bone-deep white. Long pavilions, old corridors, red tiles, grey walls, it was breathtakingly beautiful. Numerous plum trees were sparsely inlaid in the boundless snowy white. The lush, light yellow blossoms on the branches added a touch of liveliness to the whole world. I let go of Lu Shao's hand and charged into the snow like an excited puppy. I could hardly control myself, turning my head to shout, "Lu Shao, come here quickly." Many, many years later, I still remember that scene vividly. That man stood before the desolate wooden railings, watching me. Thick, fast-falling snowflakes covered his broad, sharp shoulders, his black coat, and also filled his deep eyes. He didn't walk towards me, just watched me quietly. Across the distant ice and snow, I saw all the scenery pale around him. "Lu Shao, come here quickly." I made a snowball and threw it at him. Lu Shao slightly tilted his head to dodge it, then bent down, scooped up a handful of snow, made it into a ball, and strode towards me. I quickly hid, but was still hit until I begged for mercy. Lu Shao picked me up, brushed the remaining snow off me, his voice suppressing a laugh. So bad at it, yet so eager to play. I grabbed his clothes, jumped onto him, wrapping my legs around his waist. "Say that again." Lu Shao laughed, his Adam's apple rolling deeply. There was a temple to the south. As we got closer, we could hear the low, lingering sound of chanting, mixed with the knocking of a wooden fish, low and deep, very rhythmic. Peeking through the door crack, I saw a group of lamas kneeling and sitting in the golden, magnificent main hall, reciting scriptures. Incense smoke curled. The Buddha statue was majestic, solemn and sacred. Snowflakes fell thickly outside the corridor. I looked up at Lu Shao. The corners of his eyes and brows were full of gentleness. I suddenly remembered a phrase, quiet years, a stable present. Yes, with the one I loved deeply by my side. Everything was so perfect. Buddhists often speak of completeness. Perhaps besides merits, it often refers more to emotions. I remembered Lu Shao telling me that our trip to this human world is a cultivation. Since it's cultivation, there is already a destined course. It can't be rushed, can't be hurried. But I never thought then that many years later, on a certain day, I would once again travel thousands of kilometers alone to this snow mountain. I came for one person, a person I loved to the marrow of my bones. And amidst the swirling ashes and flying smoke, what I chanted was the rebirth mantra. There were homestays on the mountain. Lu Shao said he'd take me to see the sunrise, so we stayed there for the night. Early the next morning, I was woken by a phone call. Lu Shao's voice sounded unusually excited. "Get up quickly, Xiao Man." "Oh, right." During the time I lived with Lu Shao, I learned he never slept in. A bit tragic. It seemed to foreshadow a future of hard labor exploited by early rising. After getting up and washing up, I opened the door and realized it was just dawn. The shadows of trees danced not far away. Lights were sparse. A few steps down, Lu Shao was straddling a mountain bike, smoking, his slightly curved back like a bow. Seeing me, he stubbered out the cigarette. "Get on." Even though the light was so dim, I saw the corners of his lips raised. I walked over unsteadily and stood before him. "It's too early. Didn't sleep well. Feel weak all over." Lu Shao raised an eyebrow, lowering his voice. "What are you trying to say?" I opened my arms. "Need a hug?" Then I was lifted onto the bike's back seat by Lu Shao. I tightly wrapped my arms around his waist. Lu Shao, I'm so sleepy. Don't sleep. Hold me tight. After parking the bike, Lu Shao held my hand as we walked. The sky wasn't fully light yet, and the mountain path was steep. I was practically disoriented the entire way. When we reached the destination, I realized Lu Shao had already set up a tent in advance, on a slope overlooking the scattered rooftops of Mengzheng in the far distance. I crawled into the tent, wrapped in a soft blanket, and asked Lu Shao, "What time did you get up?" Lu Shao also crawled in. You guess. I opened the blanket and wrapped him in it too. Leaning against his broad, warm chest, I yawned. So sleepy. Want to sleep? Lu Shao held me, adjusting me to the most comfortable position, and said softly, "Okay, just for a little while. I'll wake you when it's time." Having gotten permission, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Lu Shao always had a pleasant lemon scent about him, seemingly faint, yet seemingly strong. Suddenly, I wasn't sleepy anymore. I reached out and hugged Lu Shao's waist, smiling as I asked him, "Lu Shao, do you believe that if you disappeared one day, I could find you just by the scent in my memory?" Lu Shao took my hand, interlacing our fingers. "I won't disappear." I climbed up from his embrace and put my arms around his neck. "Really?" Lu Shao nodded, the corners of his eyes and brows tinged with a doting smile. "When have I ever lied to you?" It was quiet all around. Unnamed birds chirped intermittently. When Lu Shao's lips came down, what I thought was, "It's okay. Even if you lie to me, I will forgive you. With me, you are always the exception and the favorite." The eastern sky gradually brightened. Behind the distant mountains encircled by thin mist, under thick clouds, a hazy, warm sun peeked out with a golden edge. Below our feet were vast fields clad in silver frost. Surrounding trees stood in layers, interspersed with a few shallow streams. It looked inexplicably like an eternal oil painting. It was an extremely long and spectacular process, from the dim shadow of the sun to the bright daylight. Lu Shao held my hand tightly the entire time. I leaned on Lu Shao's shoulder, looking at the distant, endless mountains, and said, "We will be together forever." How far is forever? Perhaps until time evaporates into dust. Perhaps until time solidifies into stone. In short, not a second less will do. Lu Shao held me close with one arm, tilting his head to rest his chin on the top of my head. I felt the vibration of his Adam's apple. He said, "Xiao Man, there is no forever in the world." Stubborn as I was, I replied confidently, "Yes, there is forever in the world. We will be together forever." Lu Shao fell silent, stretching his other arm to encircle me in his embrace. His embrace was so warm, as if possessing powerful magic. Once I hid in it, I never wanted to come out. But I couldn't let him face the storms outside alone. I didn't want to stand behind him. I wanted to stand by his side. After eating a quick bite, we went to the temple to burn incense. At the foot of one Buddha statue there was a wooden fish. I pretended to knock on it with my hand, making Lu Xiao sigh repeatedly with helplessness. "Xiao Man, you can't fool around here." "Oh right, this place is solemn and sacred. Can't fool around." I lit a stick of incense, knelt on the prayer mat, closed my eyes, and prayed devoutly to the tall, imposing Buddha statue. I never really put much faith in wish-making. Since childhood, I had placed countless hopes on it. For example, I wished my mother could be happier. Wished my father could spend more time with me. Wished my parents would argue less. None ever came true. So later, I stopped believing in deities, but now I believed in deities again. I begged them to keep my most beloved person, begged them to compensate for all that fate had owed me in the past, in the form of health and brightness, bestowed upon my most beloved person. Opening my eyes, I turned my head and saw Lu Shao's sharply defined profile. His eyes were closed, his brow light, his figure upright. Just after leaving the temple hall, we saw someone taking wedding photos in the boundless snow. The pure white wedding dress merged with the equally pure white snowdrifts, sacred and beautiful. At this moment, the red rose in the girl's hand became the most unique sight, adding the most dazzling touch to the entire icy landscape. I held Lu Shao's arm, so excited I was a bit disoriented. Lu Shao, let's come here to take our photos in the future, okay? I really love it here." "Okay." Lu Shao looked down at me, smiling radiantly. Going down the mountain was much easier. Pedestrians walked briskly. I pestered Lu Shao, lying that I had a leg cramp and it hurt. So he carried me down, scolding me as he walked. I tugged his hair discontentedly. You find me annoying now? What about the future? There are so many years to come. Lu Shao laughed. It's okay. Surely it won't be just me. There will be children too. We'll all find you annoying. You'd better watch out. I blurted out. Children? What children? Lu Shao started running with large strides. Nothing, you heard wrong. I didn't hear wrong. What children? You heard wrong. No children. No, there are children. You just said it. Admit it. Okay, yes, I admit it. Our children. That day, the cool wind from the depths of winter whistling past my ears. The frost and snow on the 1,000 steps not yet melted. The envious expressions passers-by cast at me. The sparse cooking smoke rising from village roofs in the distance. And my violent heartbeat that I couldn't hide, no matter how hard I tried. All merged with that eternal oil painting from before sunrise. And so, in the whole world, only Lu Shao and I remained. That eternal painting, I wanted to preserve it forever. Preserve everything related to my big boy forever. We had bought train tickets for the evening. As soon as I got on the train, I slept in various positions. Lu Shao spent the whole time preparing materials needed for the start of the semester. In a daze, a warm hand gently patted my face. Xiao Man. I opened my eyes. Lu Shao was crouching in front of me. You finished your work. Speaking, I was startled by my own hoarse voice. Get up and take medicine. You have a fever. Lu Shao lifted the blanket, picked me up, and helped me put on my jacket. My head indeed felt dizzy and heavy. I took the opportunity to hang on to Lu Shao like a long-armed monkey, watching him pour water and mix medicine for me. Here, it's sweet. Lu Shao handed me the cup. I held my nose and drank it in one go, then yelled at him. You lied to me. It's bitter. Lu Shao frowned. How is that possible? I just tasted it. I leaned my head forward. It's really bitter. If you don't believe me, taste it again. Lu Shao didn't move, just raised an eyebrow and looked at me, a faint smile playing on his lips. The moment the train entered a tunnel, Lu Shao lowered his head and kissed me. A brief 10 seconds. In the heavy darkness, he chuckled softly. Little liar. I hid in his arms, giggling secretly, wrapping myself in his coat. The medicine had little effect. My temperature kept fluctuating back and forth. Lu Shao stayed by my bedside, his hand against my cheek. I told him to sleep, but he refused, saying he was afraid my temperature would rise again. I woke up in the middle of the night thirsty. Lu Shao had fallen asleep slumped by my bed. I got up quietly. The space was narrow, and I was very careful not to wake him. The train car was quiet. I found the water tank. It wasn't on 97 degrees Celsius. Looking out the window, under the heavy night sky, the train was passing through vast expanses of dark green rapeseed fields. The bright yellow flower clusters hanging from the tips were imprinted on the window, like fleeting fireworks. It was a bit cold. I looked down to zip up my jacket and realized I was wearing Lu Shao's coat. I felt in his pocket and found a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. My heart immediately itched, so I took one out and lit it. I hadn't smoked for a long time. My throat felt rough. I was starting to dislike this feeling. I threw away the cigarette butt and blew the last puff of smoke onto the train window. Mixing with the condensed water vapor inside, I used my finger to write Lu Shao on it. Suddenly, my whole body was enveloped by a soft embrace. The familiar scent made me feel inexplicably at ease. I turned around and buried my head in Lu Shao's chest. You're awake. Why did you come out here? As he spoke, he reached out to feel my forehead. Thirsty. Came to get some water. Seems you still have a bit of a fever. Lu Shao slightly frowned. I wrapped my arms around his waist and looked up at him from his embrace. It's fine. Just a little. Don't be nervous. Who would have thought he frowned even deeper? You smoked. Yeah, just 2 puffs. Lu Shao pinched my cheeks with both hands, pretending to be fierce. Next time you don't listen, I'll give you to the big bad wolf. I was amused. Lu Shao, I'm not a 3-year-old. Lu Shao glared at me and pressed my head into his chest. Still young. I got unhappy, pushed him away and said seriously, I'm not little anymore. Lu Shao pulled me back into his arms. Okay, not little. I continued dissatisfied. Teacher Lu, you're being perfunctory. Then how can I not be perfunctory? I stood on my tiptoes. What do you think? Lu Shao chuckled softly. And then, with deep and firm pressure, met me. After getting together, our interaction pattern wasn't very different from before. Physical intimacy was limited to hugging and kissing. Sometimes I wanted more, but each time Lu Shao would stop at the most dangerous point. After New Year's Eve, Lu Shao changed the home's decor style. Sighting out with the old, in with the new. An extra graffiti painting appeared in his bedroom. It depicted 4 penguins walking on an icy river. The leading one held a small flagpole with a banner that read the world's end. Right below the painting was printed Fin del Mundo, Principio de Todo. I asked Lu Shao. The world's end is the end of the world. What does the line below mean? That's Spanish. It means the end of the world. The beginning of everything. Why is Ushuaia the end of the world? Because this town is very close to the Antarctic continent. Many scientific expeditions heading to Antarctica use it as a rear base or a transfer station. It's a free port, but also a distant, lonely port. That night, I specifically went online to learn about that city in Argentina that I had only vaguely heard of in geography class. It nestled between mountains and waters, had lush forests and majestic, pure white snow mountains. Its seaside had winding roads and narrow bus stops. It also had bell towers, docks, and cruise ships. 5 kilometers from Ushuaia stands a world-renowned lighthouse called Faro les Eclairs. It is the last foothold of human civilization. On Faro les Eclairs, speak your saddest thing to the turbulent Antarctic wind, and the wind will carry it away. I said to Lu Shao. After I graduate, let's go there to see it, okay? Lu Shao smiled and ruffled my hair. Okay. Not long after the semester started, while researching for my thesis proposal in a library, I ran into Xiao. He was with a girl. The girl smiled, her eyes curving. Shuangman, hello, I'm Jiang Mengxi. I was puzzled how she knew my name. Xiao whistled at me. Hey, ex-girlfriend. How was your winter break? I smiled. Pretty good, you. Also pretty good. I didn't know what to say. Found an excuse to leave. You guys carry on. I need to find some materials. Xiao had his hands in his pockets, tilted his head, and gave me a roguish smile. Go on. Before turning away, I inadvertently saw the complex look Jiang Mengxi gave me. Not jealousy, not resentment, more like regret. From then until graduation, I met Jiang Mengxi no more than 5 times, and spoke less than 10 sentences with her. So I never expected to run into her abroad many years later. In the lavender fields of Provence, amidst the gentle breeze and warm sun, she told me a secret. After parting with Jiang Mengxi, Xiao found me in the small town of Ushuaia. He rode a motorcycle, appearing before me covered in frost and snow. Behind him was the rolling ocean, the coastline edged in gold by the sky full of clouds at sunset. He still had that roguish smile. He Shuangman, you made me search for you. I kept failing the English proficiency tests, CET 4/6, and was extremely frustrated. Lu Shao, who taught advanced mathematics, was surprisingly excellent at English. Under his day and night supervision and tutoring, I finally succeeded. I was very happy. Thank you, Teacher Lu. Lu Shao's gaze remained on the book in his hand. You're welcome. I took his book away and tossed it aside. Lu Shao, you're too cold. Besides being a teacher, have you forgotten the other identity you have? Thrown it to the far reaches of the sky? During that time, I had many exams, and Lu Shao was also busy. We basically didn't have much intimate time together. Lu Shao sighed. Xiao Man, your main task is to study hard. I sat on his lap, wrapping my arms around his neck. I know I need to study hard, but the two don't conflict. Lu Shao lifted me up and put me on the sofa. Go take a shower and sleep early. I refused to give up, pounced on him, rolled into his arms, and said wickedly, Lu Shao, are you not up to it? Lu Shao was stunned for a moment, then raised an eyebrow. Xiao Man, reverse psychology doesn't work on me. Fine, I compromised. Kiss me, and I'll go shower. more than just one kiss. I felt like my brain was gone, even floated to the shower. At the start of my junior year, I started self-studying Spanish, for the promise Lu Shao and I made to go to Ushuaia, Argentina, together. One night, while browsing a blog, I saw a Spanish blogger I followed post a line. "Ti es mi más grande deseo y mi más brillante sueño." The translation was, "You are my greatest desire and my most brilliant dream." I read this line with deep affection to Lu Shao. He was preparing lessons at the computer, having just showered, his chestnut short hair lying softly on his head. He didn't even give me a glance from the corner of his eye. Brillante pronunciation isn't accurate enough. I was very unhappy, crawled under his arm into his lap and glared at him. Lu Shao smiled helplessly, pulled over a beanbag chair from the side, picked me up and placed me on it. "Wait a moment. Just 10 more minutes." 10 minutes later, Lu Shao closed his laptop. I sensibly climbed onto him. "Hey Shuangman, you've been very clingy lately." Lu Shao pinched the tip of my nose, his tone doting. I looked at the tiny tear mole near the corner of his left eye, and asked him, "Lu Shao, do you not like me? Did you agree to be with me just because you didn't want me to be sad?" Lu Shao's handsome brows furrowed tightly. "He Shuangman, what goes on in your head every day?" I pressed my face against the hollow of his neck. "You know what goes on in my head every day." Lu Shao held me close, his warm palm against my back. Maintaining this position for a long time, he slowly spoke. "After you graduate, let's get married, okay?" I pushed him away abruptly. "What?" Lu Shao looked at me, his gaze burning like fire. "Marry me after you graduate, okay?" At such a close distance, I saw myself in his deep, clear eyes, that sensitive, stubborn girl. At that moment, I had no words. I could only hook my arms around Lu Shao's neck, bringing myself infinitely closer to him. I thought Lu Shao had always known this answer. Lu Shao didn't get to wait until my graduation. In December 2016, one night, I was awakened by a sharp sound from the living room. I rushed out in a panic and saw Lu Shao standing blankly in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He was wearing loose white pajamas, his chestnut short hair slightly messy, his hands hanging stiffly by his sides. He looked so clean and helpless. Something raced through my mind. I quickly grabbed it, opened it. It was an endless darkness, deeper than outside the window. Lu Shao bent down to pick up the glass fragments on the floor. I hurried over. It's okay, I'll clean it up." Lu Shao didn't speak, just stood there watching me. After cleaning up, I took his hand and led him towards his bedroom. "It's okay, sleep first. We'll go for a checkup tomorrow." The thing I feared most had happened. Lu Shao's meningioma had turned malignant and had already spread to the lymphatic system. For those few days, there was nothing but silence between Lu Shao and me. I didn't dare cry in front of him. I was afraid he would break down more than me, so every tear had to be held back until night. On the day winter break started, I packed my things and went home. Pushing open the main hall door, I saw Lu Shao sitting on the sofa. Mottled sunlight streamed through the window, falling on his tall frame, hiding half of his resolute, deep facial contours in shadow. He stood up, handed me a plane ticket to Paris, and said with a smile, "Winter break gift." I was stunned for a moment, didn't take it, turned and walked towards his room. "Okay, I'll go pack." "Xiao Man," he called me. "What is it?" I didn't turn back. "I have some training. I'll be a bit late. You go first. Your Aunt Jin will pick you up." I finally couldn't hold back. I became that fierce lion again. I yelled at him loudly. "Why? Why do you want to push me away again? Can't we face it together?" Lu Shao didn't speak. His beautiful eyes filled with sorrow so thick it couldn't be dissolved. I ran up to him, snatched the ticket from his hand, and tore it to shreds. I'm not going anywhere. XIAOMAN ... You shut up. Do you think you're so great? Will pushing me away solve the problem? Lu Shao stood quietly in place, his eyes red. This Lu Shao, vulnerable and wronged like a child, made me suddenly burst into tears. I stepped forward and hugged him. "Lu Shao, I'm begging you. Don't drive me away, okay? I would really die of sadness. ..." Lu Shao held me tightly in his arms, with immense strength, as if wanting to crush me. After lunch, on the sofa, I nestled in Lu Shao's arms and asked him with a tone of discussion, "Tomorrow, let's go to the hospital, okay?" I knew he didn't want to go. That day, Zhu Xining's father had spoken very implicitly, but we both understood. At this stage, the meaning of treatment wasn't very significant anymore. All methods were basically aimed at alleviating the patient's suffering. Lu Shao didn't answer my question. He held me with one arm, the other hand gently rubbing my shoulder. After a long while, he slowly said, "Xiao Man, let's go to Ushuaia." I hesitated. But Doppelquail smiled. "It's okay. Nothing will happen for now." I scrambled up in one go. "Then I'll go pack, we'll leave immediately." Lu Shao held my hand, his expression somewhat helpless. "No need to rush this moment." I snuggled back into his arms. "Then keep talking with me." "Okay." Lu Shao's embrace was very warm. I don't know when I fell asleep. I woke up on the sofa. Dusk was falling. Only a dim wall lamp was lit in the living room. In the empty world, the boundless fear made me panic. Without even changing clothes, I hurriedly pulled open the door and rushed out, only to bump right into Lu Shao, who was pushing the door open to come in. He held groceries in one hand, and with the other naturally pulled me into his embrace, looking down at me. "I'm here. I'm here." At that moment, my heart ached to the extreme. What kind of Lu Shao was this? This was a Lu Shao who was always gentle and considerate, who kept me in his heart. He cherished me, protected me, but now he was going to leave me. Why was fate always unfair? Why did the deities never hear my prayers? Lu Shao and I went to Ushuaia. I finally saw that town that seemed endlessly bleak even on sunny days. It was like a tiny corner forgotten by the universe. "Venga yo!" I shouted towards the green and white continuous hills. Lu Shao reached out and pulled me into his arms, then turned towards the dock and shouted loudly, "Hola!" We walked, ran, embraced, and kissed in the desolate icy wilderness. We went to see the lighthouse called Faro les Eclairs. It was dotted with large red and white blocks, like a compact checkerboard. The two colors intersected, the white like ice and snow, the red like a setting sun. I closed my eyes, put my hands together, and prayed devoutly to it. In the fierce cold wind, my wish was still the same as the one I made years ago, before the Buddha statue on Yufan Snow Mountain. This time, Lu Shao didn't ask me. I was the one who couldn't hold back. "Why don't you ask me what I wished for?" "I know you won't tell me." "Then ask me first." "Okay, Xiao Man, what did you wish for just now?" "Too late. I had to tell you to ask. No sincerity. I wanted to tell you before, but now I don't want to anymore." Lu Shao laughed. He was wearing a dark grey coat and a large red knitted hat matching mine. In the boundless world, he seemed like a fleeting meteor. We settled down in that lonely town. The days were quiet and felt distant. Every evening we would stroll along the winding road by the sea, listening to the tide ebb and flow, watching the clouds roll and unfold. At such times I would think countless times would there be a day when I suddenly wake up to the sound of falling snow, open my eyes and see Lu Shao coexisting with the morning sun. And then I suddenly understand. It was all just a dream. But I clearly knew this wasn't a dream, because Lu Shao was already showing more complications. He started having frequent hand spasms. Breaking bowls and cups gradually became the norm. I deeply regretted agreeing to come here. In the hospital, he could at least stay with me a little longer. Even one more minute, even one more second, I wanted it. But Lu Shao was unwilling to go back. He was stubborn as a child. He said he liked it here. In the final period, Lu Shao could almost no longer walk. Sometimes his consciousness would be blurred, unable to distinguish time. The mountain path wasn't steep. I pushed Lu Shao up in a wheelchair, and then we held each other, looking at the colorful town. One day, Lu Shao suddenly said to me, "Xiao Man, you seem to have become quiet." I lifted my head from his embrace and unexpectedly met his red-rimmed eyes. No matter how turbulent my heart was, my face had to show no ripples. I smiled. "It's because after being with you, I don't want anything else anymore." I pretended not to see the glistening tears spilling from the corners of his eyes. Pointing at the edge of the sun, red like a ripe persimmon, I said, "Lu Shao, look quickly. It's coming out." "Xiao Man, Promise me, no matter what, you must live well. Lu Shao looked towards the bright front, his voice low. That was the last sunrise Lu Shao and I watched together. After that day, Ushuaia began to experience continuous heavy snow. And Lu Shao, he left me forever on the night the snow stopped. He lay quietly on the bed, just like when I first saw him years ago. His brow gentle, his clean, neat short hair impeccable. He left me a letter. Xiao Man, forgive me for saying goodbye in this way. I thought for a long time, but aside from trapping myself deeper, no outcome could make me feel any better. I cannot accept becoming your burden, because between us, it should have been the future is long. Xiao Man, you promised me, no matter what, you must live well. You cannot break your promise. After returning to the country, settle down properly. Study, work, and of course get married and have children in the future. My little girl is so lovely, she should be treasured and cared for. Xiao Man, I'm sorry. I owe you and I love you. If there really are deities in the world, we will definitely meet again, because I have already reserved your next life countless times in advance. Please believe that when the time comes, I will find you, will steadfastly take your hand. So this time, forgive me, okay? Such few words. I turned it over and over, wanting to see more. But there was no more. There was no more. Why? Even if you had to leave, you should have talked to me more. Who broke their promise? He did. I picked up Lu Shao, caressed his face, and said softly, Lu Shao, do you know, when I was in high school, I participated in a provincial essay competition. I wrote about a whale that even wanted to escape the sea it relied on for survival. The result surprised me. I won the special prize. Why did I write about it? Because actually, I was that whale. Lu Shao, after meeting you, you became that sea. Now, I want to escape from you. Do you have a way? No familiar voice responded anymore. Only the vast, boundless cold enveloped me. Lu Shao, let me tell you what I wished for. On Yufan Snow Mountain and before the lighthouse, my wish was the same, which was I accept this lifetime. In the next life, you cannot wait until you are 30 to find me. When the first faint golden light shone through the window into the room, I took out that large handful of white pills, swallowed them with the cold water from the cup on Lu Shao's bedside table, then lay in his arms calmly and fearlessly waiting for another world to open its arms to me. I had once said, if I cannot ask the deities to take you away, then I will go with you. Shuming Shao gave me a diary, a set of keys, and a manila envelope. He came to me before going abroad. He Shuangman, even without him, you must live well. I know it's hard, but it's only temporary. Time will heal everything. Shuming Shao tilted his head back and blew a ring of smoke at the sky. Okay. That day, in the second before losing all consciousness, I dialed the emergency number. I had promised Lu Shao. I couldn't break my promise. I had already made him very worried. How could I make his path of reincarnation restless as well? This was the last thing I could do for him. Live. Yes, not for myself, but for the person who, until the very end, could not let go of me. He actually apologized to me. I don't know what he meant either. He also asked me to take care of you until you moved on. Shuming Shao had his hands in his pockets, looking like a rogue. Before I could speak, he added, damn it, I like you. Of course I'll take care of you. I don't need his request. Ming Zhao ... Enough. First, take a good look at what he left for you. Shuming Shao interrupted me, said this and left. Lu Shao left me the keys to the quadrangle courtyard. The manila envelope contained the property he had transferred to my name and his savings card. The diary was the one I saw him looking through that time he was drunk, and I barged into his study. The earliest entries in the diary recorded bits and pieces of daily life, just a few sentences. Starting from that October in 2013, the entries gradually became longer. October 2013 was when he and I met. He said he really liked the little girl, even though she was sensitive and rebellious. Why? Because she was vivid and kind-hearted. The thorns she raised were only to defend against harm from the outside world. He said he had never complained about the unfairness of fate before. But after meeting the little girl, he began to feel resentful, began to want to live a long life. He said he couldn't be with the little girl, but he couldn't stand her being with someone else either. He said he wanted to protect the little girl, wanted to hold her in the palm of his hand. Got together with the little girl. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. Very selfish, right? But I really don't want her to leave me. Want her to stay by my side always. I don't know if escaping is useful, or if driving her away can solve the problem. I only know that what I have to face next is vomiting, aphasia, blindness, even paralysis. I can't let her see such a me. Even less let her take care of such a me. In this one life, I beg the deities for a little compensation. Let my little girl be forever safe and healthy. Today the little girl asked me if I didn't like her. Asked me if I agreed to be with her just because I was afraid she'd be sad. I panicked. I suddenly understood she needs my proof. So I mustered great courage to tell her that after she graduates, we would get married. Thinking that I can no longer watch the snow with her, carry her on my back, and run, my heart feels like it's being slowly cut open with a dagger. Besides the deep, bone-piercing pain, there is a vast emptiness. It's just a regret that I couldn't marry my little girl. Couldn't say I love you to her. Shuangman, I love you. For many days afterwards, looking at the bluish-white curtain in the hospital room, I often wondered, if I hadn't met Lu Shao, what would I be like now? This question had no answer, because Lu Shao had already permanently remained in my life. I went to Yufen's snow mountain again. This time, no one carried me up the 1,000 steps. No one had a snowball fight with me. I still stayed at that inn. This time, there was no warm stove in the main hall, no enthusiastic short-haired girl, or middle-aged uncle, no handsome young man named Azien who sang Leslie Cheung's A Person with Intention. Those frames of images were like a big dream, vanishing abruptly the moment the daylight broke. March in Mengcheng was still bitterly cold. I walked up the forest path at 5 a.m. I went to that slope again to watch the sunrise. I remembered here, Lu Shao promised me he wouldn't let me lose him. Back then I asked him if he would lie to me. He said no, but in the end, it was as I expected. On the third day after arriving, Mengcheng began to snow heavily. In the blizzard, I followed behind a group of lamas, silently reciting the rebirth mantra in my heart, prostrating myself in full-length bows from Nanxian Temple all the way to Kingland Garden, a winding 7-kilometer journey. Only then did I know that the palace Lu Shao and I had peeked at from outside the doorframe back then was called the Rebirth Hall, and the scriptures those lamas were chanting were called the Rebirth Mantra. Lu Shao, if possible, I should have bid you farewell here, but I couldn't bear to. The last semester of university passed quickly. The whole time, Xiao stuck to me like a shadow. I knew he was afraid I might do something rash, but the more he did this, the sadder I felt. I couldn't give him what he wanted. My heart truly had no room for anyone else. After the graduation ceremony, I visited my parents' graves. I left a letter for Xu Mingxiao, saying that to fulfill my promise to Lu Shao to live well, I would write to him from time to time, and asked him not to worry or miss me. Then I changed all my contact information, packed my things, and left the city I had lived in since childhood. 6 years later, I ran into Jiang Mengxi in Provence. She asked me, "Do you know why Xu Mingxiao liked you?" I shook my head. I had asked him this question before, but it was too long ago. I couldn't even remember those past events clearly. He told me he noticed you on the day the freshman entered university, and he watched you secretly every day. He said you were clearly so unhappy, yet you still bought food every day to feed the stray dogs in the small woods behind the school. Shuangman, I always thought it was because I wasn't good enough that he didn't like me. I never expected it was because I appeared too late. So love really has its order of arrival. Jiang Mengxi looked at the rolling lavender fields. Her expression resigned. Jiang Mengxi went to Provence with her fiancé to take wedding photos. I didn't give her an expensive gift. I gave her Apis charm I obtained from a temple, wishing her all the best. Leaving Paris, France, I went to Ushuaia again, bringing Lu Shao's diary. I thought I was gradually forgetting those bygone years. I never expected they had always been in the deepest part of my memory. After so many years, looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar icy wilderness, I could still clearly recall the forever young, bright face in my memories. He had always been in my heart, always waiting for me in this small town, on the seaside dock, on the winding snow mountains, in every dream I woke from in the early morning. He seemed to be everywhere, yet only not by my side.